He had initially thought it would be the worst birthday, but now he took it back. This had to be his best birthday. He lowered his head and gently kissed the snow-white shoulder. It was also the most beautiful birthday gift. Chapter 101. Traveling together. The next day, when Lin Shu woke up, it was almost noon. She found herself being held by a warm body, and the moment she opened her eyes, she saw Tang Yichen's handsome face right in front of her, his soft breathing, long eyelashes, and eyes peacefully closed. Lin Shu shifted her body, wanting to get up, but unexpectedly, he held her even tighter, mumbling. He said, "Sleep a little longer, I'm going to wash up first." Lin Shu struggled a bit, quickly got out of bed, and ran into the bathroom. Tang Yichen knew she was shy and didn't stop her. After Lin Shu got up, the bed suddenly felt much emptier, and sleeping alone didn't seem as interesting anymore. Tang Yichen slowly sat up and put on his bathrobe. He then called the hotel restaurant to order lunch to be delivered to the room. When Lin Shu came out of the bathroom, she was only wearing a bathrobe. The clothes from yesterday were no longer wearable, and her luggage was in the next room. She saw Tang Yichen also wearing a bathrobe and talking on the phone. "I'll go change first," Lin Shu said apologetically, not wanting to disturb her, mouthing the words. Tang Yichen, noticing she had come out, immediately said to the person on the phone, "Let's leave it at that for now, I'm hanging up." Then he called out to Lin Shu and said, "I ordered Chinese food from the hotel, it'll be delivered soon. Change your clothes and come over to eat together." Lin Shu opened the door and went to the next room. Tang Yichen watched Lin Shu's retreating figure with adoration as she opened the door and left. Only after hearing the sound of the neighboring door opening did he head into the bathroom to wash up and change. Lin Shu returned after changing her clothes. She was wearing a white thin knit sweater on top, black pants on the bottom, and had switched to sneakers on her feet. Tang Yichen had also changed his clothes, wearing a white shirt and black pants. Lin Shu blushed silently, feeling as if they were wearing matching outfits again. Pretending not to notice, Tang Yichen smiled and took Lin Shu's hand, and the two of them sat down at the table together. The hotel had just delivered the Chinese meal. Looking at the sumptuous feast on the table, both of them felt a bit hungry. While enjoying the delicious food, Tang Yichen said to Lin Shu, "I'll take you out to have some fun today. Where would you like to go?" Lin Shu had only done some basic research earlier, thinking she was here for the competition and might not have much time to go out. The finals are the day after tomorrow, so today is indeed a good opportunity to have some fun. Having heard Tang Yichen speak fluent French earlier, she felt quite tempted by the idea of him being her guide. He would undoubtedly be the best tour guide. "I'm not sure where to go. I didn't make any plans earlier because I thought I wouldn't have time." Although Lin Shu wanted to go out, she couldn't really specify a destination. "Then leave it to me." Tang Yichen picked up a small piece of cake and fed it to Lin Shu's mouth. Lin Shu blushed, feeling a bit unaccustomed to such intimacy. "I can manage on my own." Tang Yichen kept his hand holding the cake raised, a slight smile on his face. Lin Shu couldn't resist him and opened her mouth to accept the cake. The food at the hotel is quite tasty, and the little cakes are delicious, not too sweet. After finishing their meal, Tang Yichen took her out. These past 2 days made Lin Shu realize a different side of Tang Yichen. He was gentle, considerate, and attentive, with a wealth of knowledge. Every time they visited a place, he could share a lot of interesting information. He seemed to want to present the best things in the world to her, letting her truly feel the happiness he brought into her life. They climbed the Eiffel Tower together and stood on the observation deck, gazing at the scenery of the Parisian suburbs. The Arc de Triomphe was built to commemorate Napoleon's victory in the 1806 war, symbolizing the prosperity and flourishing of society during Napoleon's era. The Louvre houses thousands of treasures from different regions, cultures, and time periods. Tang Yichen seemed familiar with each one and could introduce them to Lin Shu one by one. Finally, the two of them strolled hand in hand along the Champs-Élysées, a street often referred to as the most beautiful avenue in the world and a must-visit gathering place for people. They could linger there day and night, completely captivated, in just these 2 days. The two of them had walked up and down this street many times. Lin Shu loved lingering on the avenue but wasn't particularly keen on shopping. Instead, they held hands and visited theaters to watch operas or explored exhibition halls. This rhythm and pace were utterly intoxicating. On the streets, there are those playing the violin, painting, some are artists, some are homeless. Yet all are utterly captivated. It's also common to see a talented young man and a beautiful young woman. An intimate couple, listening to the myriad of enchanting sounds amidst the crowd, enjoying the lazy afternoon and the vibrant atmosphere of life here, a match made in heaven, nothing more than this. Tang Chen also saw a different side of Lin Shu, cheerful, radiant, sometimes a bit temperamental, and with a strong artistic, bohemian vibe. They finally revealed their truest selves, holding nothing back. They walked to the fountain in the garden of the Palace of Versailles. And Tang Chen suddenly kissed her, gently, in the bustling garden. They embraced, and finally held each other tightly, not because of the child, nor because of anything else, but simply because she was Lin Shu, thinking that Lin Shu still had to participate in the finals the next day. The two had dinner at a restaurant outside and then returned to the hotel. Originally, Lin Shu had been a bit nervous about the finals, but after spending the past 2 days playing around with Tang Chen, all the tension in her heart had dissipated. If she could win an award in the finals, that would naturally be the best outcome. If not, she wouldn't feel any regret. She had come, she had tried her best, and she would continue to work hard next time. Her passion for design would not change. Nor would it disappear just because she didn't win this competition. The original intention of doing design was simply because she loved it. After going upstairs, Lin Shu prepared to return to her own room. But Tang Chen firmly held her back. Thinking about last night, Lin Shu really felt that the two of them should sleep separately for a while. We have to wake up early tomorrow for the competition, so you should sleep alone tonight. Just the thought of last night made Lin Shu's blood rush to her face. All right, Tang Chen agreed straightforwardly. Hearing his response, Lin Shu finally breathed a sigh of relief. She was really afraid that he would insist on dragging her back to his room. If he kept pestering her, she might end up giving in again. Lin Shu took out the keycard to open the door, and Tang Chen followed. Squeezing into the room, "What are you doing here?" Lin Shu asked in a daze. "If you're not willing to stay in my room, I have no choice but to come to yours." The man said matter-of-factly, then strode in and sat directly on the bed. He had just won his wife back, and she was right beside him. How could he possibly sleep alone? "You go take a shower first and get some rest early," Tang Chen said to Lin Shu. Lin Shu helplessly took her pajamas out of the suitcase. How has this person become so thick-skinned now? Knowing that she couldn't be driven away, Lin Shu simply went to take a shower, especially since she really had to wake up early the next day. Seeing that Lin Shu had entered the bathroom, Tang Chen quickly ran back to the next room, packed up all his belongings, and moved them into Lin Shu's room. Then, with a single phone call, he cancelled his own room reservation. Staying in a room alone, not a chance. Final 102, Lin Shu came out of the shower and, looking at the extra items in the room, asked foolishly, "What is this?" Tang Chen pretended not to understand. "Luggage. Whose is it?" Lin Shu asked persistently. Unwilling to give up. "Mine." Tang Chen thought his wife was truly adorable. Whose else could it be but his? Lin Shu thought to herself, "Why is Tang Chen's luggage in her room? Why did you put your luggage in my room? Of course we're staying together, so our luggage should be together too. I already checked out of my room. The front desk said the rooms are fully booked, so I gave up mine for someone else." Tang Chen spoke with such sincerity that Lin Shu almost believed him. When it came to being thick-skinned, Lin Shu felt that Tang Chen was like a completely different person. She gave up overthinking it and walked straight to the bed, pulled back the covers, and lay down. Tang Chen thought she was angry and quickly followed her. "Honey, don't be mad, I just didn't want to be alone. Maybe I'll go ask the front desk to book another room for myself." A cautious and slightly pitiful voice sounded beside Lin Shu. In truth, she wasn't angry. Nor was she being coy or overly sensitive. It was just that she had been exhausted for 2 nights in a row, and with the competition tomorrow, she wanted to rest properly. How could she rest well with him around? Seeing Lin Shu lying with her back to him, covered by the blanket and silent, Tang Chen deliberately got up. "All right then, you rest well, I'll be going now." Lin Shu listened to the sound of him packing his things and finally spoke in a muffled voice from under the covers, saying, "Don't touch me tonight." She didn't know whether what he said earlier about there being no rooms available was true or not. At this late hour, could she really make him go downstairs and book another room? "Okay," Tang Chen quickly replied, putting back the jacket he had slowly picked up earlier. He then grabbed his pajamas and rushed into the bathroom to shower. As if he were afraid that even a minute's delay would get him kicked out, Lin Shu listened to the sound of water in the bathroom. Having walked around all day, she was indeed a bit tired. Closing her eyes, she gradually fell asleep. When Tang Chen came out of the bathroom, he saw the petite woman curled up on the bed. The soft light from the bedside lamp fell on her face, and with her eyes closed, her breathing was even and steady. He slightly curved the corners of his mouth. She fell asleep so quickly. He went to the bathroom, closed the door, and dried his hair before coming out. Then, he gently got into bed. Wrapping his arms around the petite woman from behind, the woman in his arms murmured softly, adjusted her position, and continued to sleep soundly. Tang Chen, breathing in the sweet scent of the lovely woman's hair, soon fell asleep as well. The next day, Lin Shu woke up to find herself and Tang Chen wrapped in each other's arms. It seemed as though she was the one holding him, her arm draped across his chest, her head resting against it, and one leg thrown over his body. Lin Shu was mortified, wondering when her sleeping posture had become so unruly. Quickly retracting her hands and feet, she sat up gently, preparing to get out of bed. Just as she was about to step down to change her clothes, she heard a lazy voice from behind. "I slept really well last night." Turning her head, she met Tang Chen's smiling eyes. Feeling guilty, Lin Shu turned her body away, got out of bed, picked up her clothes, and went to the bathroom. Watching the shy figure of the young woman, Tang Chen's smile grew even wider. The two of them got ready, had breakfast at the hotel, and then Tang Chen accompanied Lin Shu to the competition venue. The rules for the finals were simple. The designs drafted during the semifinals would be turned into finished products on site. A variety of fabrics and accessories were prepared for the contestants to choose from. The time limit was 4 hours, and the final garments would speak for themselves. Professional judges would score the results. Before she went on stage, Tang Chen gave her a gentle hug and whispered in her ear, "You can do it." Lin Shu nodded gently, turned around to get ready to go on stage, and ran into Cindy walking over. She also said to her, "Good luck." Lin Shu walked onto the stage with confidence and composure. The host announced the start of the competition, and Lin Shu began selecting fabrics according to her original design concept. For this dress design, Lin Shu incorporated elements of Chinese ethnic minorities. Using blue tie-dyed fabric, a traditional craft of the Miao people in China, she used gardenia flowers as the jacquard pattern for the body of the dress and personally embroidered the cuffs and collar. Blue represents freedom and romance. Accompanying water, clouds, and a ray of morning light. After the competition ended, Lin Shu stood on stage with the other 4 contestants. Although she had a relaxed mindset, she couldn't help feeling nervous on such an international stage. She scanned the audience, searching for Tang Chen's figure. At first, she kept looking toward the back but couldn't find him. Eventually, she spotted him in the corner of the second row. Lin Shu wondered how he managed to get such a front row seat. The moment she saw Tang Chen, his gaze was also fixed on her. As their eyes met across the distance, Lin Shu's nervous heart instantly calmed down. "It feels so good to have someone behind you." The host had the final results in hand and delivered deliberately mysterious lines. Lin Shu didn't pay much attention. After stepping on stage and seeing the works of the other contestants, she realized her design was relatively niche. So she didn't hold out much hope. If she was lucky, she might just scrape by at the bottom. When the host announced the third-place winner, Lin Shu already felt it was hopeless. She was lost in thought, considering what gifts to buy for the 2 little ones and Chen Sisi. So when her name was called as the first-place winner, she was still spacing out and didn't react. The host joked, "It seems our first-place winner is so excited that she forgot to come forward." The host announced Lin Shu's name once again, and she looked utterly incredulous. Her feet moved forward mechanically as she mechanically accepted the award, and finally, she mechanically walked off the stage. Tang Chen came over to meet her. "Honey, you were amazing." Lin Shu was in a daze and didn't even notice how he addressed her, still unable to believe that she had won first place. "Did I really get first place?" Tang Chen looked at the silly woman in front of him and took the medal for her. He smiled dotingly and said, "My wife is so amazing. If she doesn't get first place, who else could?" Lin Shu took a few minutes to calm down and finally confirmed that she had really won an award, and first place at that. Overwhelmed with excitement, she jumped up and hugged Tang Chen. "I really won an award, and it's first place. I'm so happy. I thought I'd get third place at best, when I didn't hear my name. I thought it was over. I actually got first place. I'm really, really happy." Listening to the woman's excited, incoherent words, Tang Chen said, "Yes, you really are amazing." Lin Shu came to her senses, realizing she had been too excited, and let go of Tang Chen, taking a step back. Just then, Cindy walked over, and Lin Shu took the initiative to greet her. "Teacher Cindy." Cindy glanced at Tang Chen standing behind Lin Shu but didn't ask any questions. Instead, she said sincerely, "Congratulations, you truly deserve it." "Thank you, teacher." Lin Shu also expressed her gratitude earnestly. The dinner and conversation with her teacher on the night the semifinals ended had actually given her a lot of inspiration. "I'm leaving first, hope to see you again sometime." "Goodbye, teacher." After Cindy left, Tang Chen took Lin Shu's hand and said with a smile, "Let's go, my great designer." Lin Shu smiled and interlocked her fingers with his as they walked out of the venue together. Chapter 103, Choosing Gifts. After the competition ended, it was still relatively early. Lin Shu pulled Tang Chen along, intending to pick out gifts for the two little ones and Cece. Naturally, Tang Chen was delighted. Even if she hadn't mentioned it, he had already planned to prepare gifts for the two children to bring back. At this thought, both of them began to miss the two children a little. Although they made time for video calls every day, they still couldn't see or hold them in person. "Chen, do you still have work in Paris?" The two of them walked hand in hand along the Champs-Élysées as Lin Shu asked. No, Tang Chen thought to himself that he had come here specifically to find her. What work could there possibly be to handle? "Then let's go back tomorrow. We've been away for almost a week, and I miss Cheng Cheng and Wonuo." "Alright, I'll have Li Cheng book the tickets. We'll go home tomorrow." Tang Chen nodded. After all, he had no objections to whatever she said. Two people entered a luxury store. Lin Shu wanted to buy a bag for Chen Cece. She had won some prize money from a competition and planned to use it to buy gifts for them. The bags were significantly cheaper than in China, so Lin Shu picked out a classic style and headed to the checkout counter to pay. Tang Chen followed behind her, knowing that she usually didn't use luxury items. He wondered why she was proactively buying a bag this time. He quickly took out his black card and asked the cashier to swipe his card instead. "I'm buying this as a gift for Cece. I just got the prize money, so use mine," Lin Shu said, pushing Tang Chen's card back into his hand. "Then you pick one too." "I'll buy it for you." Tang Chen was very insistent. His wife was buying a bag for someone else, so he would buy one for his own wife. It was perfect. Lin Shu wasn't particularly interested in luxury goods and didn't see much necessity in them. Cece, however, loved them. She had mentioned before, after seeing them in a magazine, that she was determined to buy one. This trip happened to be a good opportunity, and the price was much cheaper than in China. So buying one as a gift for her was just right. "I don't need one. I'm not used to carrying such expensive bags anyway." Lin Shu still refused, regardless of what she said. Tang Chen ignored her and directly asked the sales assistant to wrap up an identical bag for him, then paid for it. Lin Shu looked at him helplessly as he carried two bags, pulling him to walk outside, while the shop assistants behind them were whispering among themselves, "Oh my god, that guy is so handsome. And he must be really rich. He used a black card. The girl next to him is so lucky. So envious." Of course, Lin Shu couldn't understand French. She only felt that the sales assistant's eyes were glued to Tang Chen, so after paying the bill, she quickly pulled him away. Tang Chen curled his lips and let her drag him along. Once they were outside the store, Lin Shu pretended to be angry and asked, "What are you laughing at?" "I'm not laughing," Tang Chen said, pursing his lips, but the slight upward curve of his mouth was impossible to hide. "What did they say?" Lin Shu knew that Tang Chen could speak French. "They said you are very beautiful." Tang Chen looked at Lin Shu's face with a slight smile and spoke seriously. Lin Shu's face instantly turned bright red. He must have been making it up. Clearly, they were all staring at him. Tang Chen held her hand, gently pecked her cheek, ruffled her long hair, and they continued walking forward together. There were artists sketching portraits by the roadside. Tang Chen, holding Lin Shu's hand, casually approached a long-haired artistic young man. Tang Chen communicated with him in French, then took Lin Shu's hand and sat down together. The artist learned from Tang Chen that they were a married couple with two lovely children, which made him even more enthusiastic. The three of them chatted while Tang Chen held Lin Shu close. Capturing their happiest smiles in Paris. After the session, the artist handed them the portrait. Lin Shu was extremely satisfied, even happier than when she had just received her new bag. Watching the woman who laughed like a child, Tang Chen thought to himself that she was still as easily content as ever. The two continued walking forward, still not having chosen the gifts for the two little ones. They entered a chocolate shop, where there was an art-themed chocolate set. After eating the chocolate, you could fill it with cardboard to create a decorative painting. Lin Shu thought Nono would like it and picked up a box. Then they went to an antique shop and found a very retro and beautiful music box, as well as a vintage car. The craftsmanship was particularly exquisite. Although it was small, the interior decorations were incredibly realistic. After buying the gifts for Cheng Cheng and Nono, the two returned to the hotel. Lin Shu packed her luggage, put away the gifts, and carefully placed the sketch in a waterproof sealed bag. Only then did she go to take a shower. While Lin Shu was showering, Tang Chen received a call from Li Cheng. "Mr. Tang, the flight tickets for you and your wife have been booked. The flight is tomorrow noon, and I will send you the ticket information shortly." "Okay, thank you. I appreciate your hard work." Li Cheng was momentarily speechless. President Tang had actually said thank you to him. That was their stern-faced, iron-fisted President Tang, and he could tell that President Tang's voice was filled with genuine delight. The influence of the lady was truly immense. From now on, he must cling tightly to her coattails. If President Tang ever got into a bad mood again, at least he'd have someone to turn to for help. It's my duty, President Tang, no trouble at all." Even after hanging up the phone, Li Cheng still felt it was unreal. Was the person who answered the phone really their boss? The change was just too drastic. With the flight scheduled for noon the next day, there was plenty of time. So there was no need to get up too early. After finishing her shower, Lin Shu came out and saw Tang Chen standing by the window with his phone. She casually said, "You can go take a shower now." Tang Chen glanced at the flight information sent by Li Cheng, then put his phone down. "All right." Li Cheng booked the flight for tomorrow noon. "He just called to let me know," Tang Chen proactively explained, afraid that Lin Shu might misunderstand and think it was someone else calling him. "Oh." Lin Shu wiped her hair with a towel, thinking to herself that she hadn't even asked anything. So why was he so nervous to explain? Was she really that unreasonable? Tang Chen saw that Lin Shu truly didn't mind, so he felt at ease and went in to take a shower. After finishing his shower, he dried his hair, put on his bathrobe, and came out to find Lin Shu wrapped up tightly in bed, watching TV. Tang Chen couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Was it really that exaggerated? He didn't say anything and got into bed from the other side. Lin Shu casually picked a romance movie and was completely engrossed in it. Flipped, a classic film from 2010, tells the story of the romantic growth between a little girl named Julie and a boy named Bryce. She falls in love with him at first sight and constantly tries to get closer to him, but he avoids her at every turn. However, through misunderstandings, he eventually comes to understand Julie's kindness, warmth, and beauty even more. Lin Shu always gets deeply immersed when watching shows and is easily moved by the plot, often laughing and crying along with the story. Tang Chen quietly accompanied him, though he wasn't particularly interested in romance movies himself. So he played simple games like Candy Crush on his phone with the sound muted. Their feet accidentally touched under the blanket. Tang Chen felt a fire rushing straight to a certain place. Chapter 104, Returning Home. Tang Chen turned his head and secretly glanced at the little woman beside him. She was staring at the TV without blinking, completely engrossed. He subtly moved his foot, pretending to unintentionally rub against Lin Shu's calf. The little woman showed no reaction. Frustrated, Tang Chen put down his phone, lay down, and muttered gloomily, "I'm going to sleep." Lin Shu finally turned her head to glance at him. "Why are you sleeping so early today? It's only 9 o'clock, all right? You go ahead and sleep. I'll watch the movie and then go to bed." Lin Shu turned back to stare at the TV. There was still over 30 minutes left, and since she didn't have to wake up early tomorrow, she planned to finish it in one go tonight. After Tang Chen lay down, he actually couldn't fall asleep at all. He picked up his phone and got out of bed, saying, "I'm going to the bathroom." Lin Shu thought to herself, if you need to go to the bathroom, just go. Even Cheng Cheng and Wonuo go to the bathroom by themselves. Why tell her? Seeing Lin Shu completely ignoring him and immersed in the movie, Tang Chen was extremely annoyed. He wished he had unplugged the TV cord earlier and claimed the TV was broken. She definitely wouldn't have noticed. After hiding in the bathroom, Tang Chen quietly sent a voice message to his little darling, telling her to quickly video call her mom. After coordinating the secret signal with his little darling, he calmly walked out of the bathroom, pretending to lie back down on the bed to continue sleeping. As soon as he lay down, Lin Shu's phone rang. She picked it up from the bedside table. It was Nuonuo's video call. Didn't she just finish video chatting with the two little ones? She paused the movie and answered the video call. Lin Yunuo's grandmother's voice came from the other end. Mom, are you asleep? Not yet. Is Nuonu in bed? What about your brother and godmother? Godmother is in the room. And both my brother and I are in our own beds. Wait a moment, I'll go find my brother. There was a rustling sound, followed by the pitter-patter of footsteps. After just a few steps, Lin Yucheng appeared in the frame. Mommy, is Cheng Cheng already asleep? Lin Shu noticed that her son seemed a bit dazed and guessed that he had been woken up by her daughter. Nuo, it's time to go to sleep. Your brother needs to sleep too. Mom, is Dad with you? The sudden question from her daughter caught Lin Shu off guard, leaving her unsure how to respond. She had originally planned to tell the two children in person after returning, which is why she had been calling and video chatting with them separately recently. So how did Nuo find out? Lin Shu turned to look at the person lying on the bed, wrapped in a blanket with their back to her, and strongly suspected that he was the one who told Nuo. She looked at her phone, where her two little darlings were wide-eyed, waiting for her answer. She had planned to tell them anyway, so it didn't matter if she said it a bit earlier. Lin Shu nodded at the camera and replied, yes. The two little ones' eyes lit up, and they excitedly started jumping on the bed. Lin Shu quickly urged them to go to sleep before finally ending the video call, put the phone back, and half lie on the bed with arms crossed. Tang Chen wasn't asleep at all. He heard her say goodbye to Cheng Cheng and Nuo, felt her put the phone back, and then everything went quiet. There wasn't a single sound. His heart was racing a little. Why didn't she continue watching the movie? Did she find out that he had sent a voice message to Nuo? Was she angry? He lifted the blanket and sat up. Cautiously glancing at the woman beside him, Lin Shu turned off the TV when she saw her sit up, stopped watching the movie, turned her back to him, lay down, and covered herself with the blanket to sleep. Oh no, I've made my wife angry. What should I do? Waiting online for advice, Tang Chen moved closer from behind. Honey, please don't be mad. You've been watching the movie the whole time and ignoring me. I swear I didn't tell Nuo that we lived together. I just asked her to send you the video. That's all. Tang Chen, seeing that she didn't respond, continued, Honey, please don't be angry. I promise I won't do this again. Lin Shu had closed her eyes, initially feeling quite upset. However, she unexpectedly fell asleep shortly after, so she didn't hear a single word of the apology that followed. After talking for a while without hearing any reaction, Tang Chen finally realized what had happened. He gently moved closer and saw that the young woman had her eyes closed. Breathing evenly, she had long since fallen asleep. Tang Chen smiled softly and planted a light kiss on her cheek. He then wrapped his arms around Lin Shu from behind, pulling her close, and soon fell fast asleep as well. The next day, Lin Shu received a call from Chen Sisi before she even got out of bed. Sister Xiaoshu, when will you arrive at the airport? We'll come pick you up. Listening to Chen Sisi's words, it seemed the two little ones hadn't told her about it. Lin Shu hesitated for a moment before speaking. Sisi, you don't need to come pick me up, just wait for me at home. Why, are you taking a taxi? Lin Shu glanced at the man lying beside her, who was still fast asleep, and said, I'm going back with Nuo and their dad. Chen Sisi was somewhat shocked by this news. Although she had had some premonitions before, hearing it directly from Sister Xiaoshu's mouth was still different. So Sister Xiaoshu and President Tang have made up. The happiest ones were definitely the two little ones, Cheng Cheng and Nuo. Since Sister Xiaoshu has a protector, it's surely an opportunity for President Tang to show his care. Chen Sisi planned to go to the supermarket in advance to buy some things. They had called Sister Xiaoshu on the day of her finals and knew she had won first place, so they were waiting for her return to celebrate together. Lin Shu hung up the phone and, seeing that it was about time, decided not to go back to sleep. She got up, washed up, and started packing her luggage. She waited until she had almost finished packing before waking Tang Chen up. Tang Chen got up and slowly came to his senses, recalling what had happened the previous night. He wondered if Lin Shu was still angry. He went to the bathroom to freshen up first, then returned to the room and directly took off his white t-shirt, revealing his firm muscles, bare-chested. He stood there looking for clothes. Lin Shu, who had been squatting on the floor organizing her things, stood up and saw that he wasn't wearing any clothes. Her face flushed as she said, "Hurry up and put your clothes on." Tang Chen turned around and looked at the shy young woman, feeling quite innocent. It wasn't that he didn't want to get dressed. He was just looking for his clothes. Finally, after getting everything ready, they set off for home, Jiangcheng Airport. Li Cheng delivered the car to his boss and handed the keys to Tang Chen. Tang Chen drove Lin Shu back to Xinhua Garden together. The moment the door opened, Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo rushed over to them. "Mom and Dad, you're back." Tang Chen picked up Nuo, while Lin Shu held Chengcheng's hand, and the family of four entered the house. Lin Shu took out gifts for everyone. When Chen Sisi saw the bag, she was so excited that her eyes lit up, and she gave Lin Shu a kiss. "Woo woo, thank you. Sister Xiaoshu, I love you so much." Chen Sisi made wontons and cooked a bowl each for Tang Chen and Lin Shu. After finishing the wontons, Tang Chen was shooed away by Lin Shu, who said it would be inconvenient for him to stay with Sisi around. Tang Chen never expected that he would have to live separately so soon after returning. Might as well spend a few more days having fun in Paris. Chapter 105. When will I become a regular employee? After being driven away by Lin Shu, Tang Chen returned to the villa feeling frustrated. Staring at the empty villa, his heart felt even emptier. He felt he couldn't wait another day. Tomorrow he must take Lin Shu to the Civil Affairs Bureau to reissue their marriage certificate. Xinjiang Garden. After Lin Shu returned, she felt as if the two little ones had suddenly grown up. Nuo had learned to bathe and brush her teeth by herself. The two little darlings finished washing up on their own, said goodnight to their mom and godmother, and then went back to their room to sleep on their own. Chen Sisi had already finished her bath and was sitting cross-legged on the sofa watching TV. She looked up and saw Lin Shu holding her pajamas, ready to go to the bathroom to take a shower. Since Mr. Tang wasn't around at the moment, she felt free to ask boldly and with a gossipy expression, "Sis Xiaoshu, what happened between you and Mr. Tang in Paris? How did you two make up?" Lin Shu, holding her pajamas and towel, stood at the bathroom door and turned to look at Chen Sisi's curious expression, feeling a little embarrassed. "We met in Paris, and then he proposed again. Anyway, we're back together." In truth, Lin Shu didn't really know how to explain it. Perhaps it was just that moment when he appeared, and she realized it had always been him. She chose to reconcile with the past, giving each other a chance. Chen Sisi remembered that day when President Tang rushed over anxiously to ask where Sister Xiaoshu had gone. Upon hearing that Sister Xiaoshu had gone to Paris, his face was filled with urgency. He immediately called someone to book a flight and chased after her that very day. Clearly, he had gone to Paris specifically to find Sister Xiaoshu. So, did President Tang really not tell Sister Xiaoshu that he had gone there just for her? Chen Sisi decided to do a good deed by adding some extra flair to the story. She embellished the events of the day she left, recounting how Tang Chen had rushed to find her and booked a flight to follow her on the same day, and shared it with Lin Shu. Lin Shu listened in a daze. No wonder she hadn't seen Tang Chen working while in Paris, only occasionally making a few phone calls, so he had gone there specifically to find her. Why didn't he say so on the first day they met? She had really thought it was just a coincidence that he was also in Paris for business. Lin Shu lay in bed after taking a shower, holding her phone and hesitating whether to send a WeChat message to Tang Chen. Suddenly, she didn't know what to say, and considering the time, it was already quite late. She worried that he might have already fallen asleep. The phone in her hand vibrated. Lin Shu picked it up and saw that it was a message from Tang Chen. "Are you asleep? What about Cheng and Nuo?" "Not yet, I'm in bed." Cheng and Nuo washed up and went to their rooms to sleep very early. "Since you came back from this business trip, it feels like they've suddenly grown up. They have always been very well behaved." "Yes, wife." Tang Chen sent 2 words, followed by a pitiful expression. Lin Shu looked at the 2 words he sent and felt a soft touch in her heart, a flutter of emotion. Lin Shu didn't understand what his pitiful expression meant, so she only sent a question mark in response. "When are you planning to make me official?" Lin Shu was even more confused after reading the message Tang Chen sent. A few minutes later, seeing that Lin Shu hadn't replied, Tang Chen followed up and asked, "How about we go get our marriage certificate tomorrow? Let me become official tomorrow, or I won't feel at ease. What if someone else steals you away? Only then did Lin Shu understand what he meant by becoming official. This guy, how come she never realized before that he could be so shameless and unreasonable? If she hadn't been stolen away by someone else, she would have left with someone long ago. Why wait until today? You'll have to get the two little ones to agree first. Cheng might not be as easy to persuade as Nuo. Lin Shu replied to his message, deliberately tossing the problem to the two little ones. If he could really win them over, then they could talk. You said it, no backing out. If Cheng and Nuo agree, we'll go get our marriage certificate tomorrow. Tang Chen, as if afraid Lin Shu would change her mind, immediately sent a message back seeking reassurance. Looking at their childish chat history, Lin Shu couldn't help but curl her lips into a smile. Alright, fine. Since they had decided to be together again, getting the marriage certificate was inevitable sooner or later. Tang Chen, having received Lin Shu's affirmative reply, lay on the large bed in the villa, happy as a child. Finally, he had regained what he had lost. Early the next morning, as soon as Lin Shu got out of bed, she heard a knock at the door. When she opened it, she saw Tang Chen standing outside in a full suit and tie, holding a bouquet of roses. Lin Shu felt a bit dazed as she looked at the person before her. Why so formal, wearing a tie? Is it really necessary? Chen Sisi changed her clothes and came out of the room, ready to go to the studio. With sister Xiaoshu back, Cheng and Nuo were being taken care of, so she needed to handle some of the backlogged work. Seeing Lin Shu standing at the door without reacting for a while, Chen Sisi asked, "Sister Xiaoshu, who is it?" Lin Shu snapped back to reality and stepped aside to let Tang Chen in. Chen Sisi, holding her bag and about to leave, saw Tang Chen walking in with a large bouquet of roses and quickly stopped in her tracks. "Good morning, Mr. Tang." "Morning." Tang Chen entered and placed the flowers on the table. "Xiaoshu, I'm heading to the studio. Since you just got back, take a couple of days to rest. No rush to work." He glanced at Tang Chen, then understandingly continued while putting on his shoes. "By the way, Xiaoshu, I'll be staying at the apartment tonight and won't be coming over, so no need to prepare dinner for me." "Why, you don't cook when you're alone? It's better to come back and eat," Lin Shu said. "Oh dear, I have some things to tidy up over there. Anyway, Sister Xiaoshu, don't worry about me. Let's keep in touch by phone. I'm heading off now. Bye." Chen Sisi hurriedly said her goodbyes and then turned to bid farewell to Tang Chen as well. "Mr. Tang, I'm off now." Chen Sisi was quite perceptive. Mr. Tang had come so early in the morning with a bouquet of roses. How could she possibly continue to be a third wheel? Alright, Tang Chen watched Chen Sisi's departing figure thoughtfully. Cheng and Nuo's godmother was quite good. Next time, he could gift her a few more new handbags. After Chen Sisi left, Lin Shu looked at the person standing in the living room and the large bouquet of flowers on the table, feeling a bit of a headache. He's wasting money again. Maybe next time, I should just tell him to give me cash instead. Lin Shu walked over and asked, "Have you had breakfast?" Tang Chen shook his head. Lin Shu had already guessed that he hadn't eaten. It was so early, where could he have eaten? And it wasn't like he could have cooked himself. "There's kanji in the pot. Help yourself. I'm going to wake up Cheng and Nuo." Tang Chen obediently headed to the kitchen and served himself some kanji. Lin Shu went into the room to wake up the two little ones for breakfast before they had to go to kindergarten. The two of them drowsily got up and dressed themselves. Lin Shu went into the bathroom to squeeze toothpaste onto their toothbrushes. They stumbled in half asleep and only woke up properly after brushing their teeth and washing their faces. So, when they saw their dad sitting at home eating breakfast early in the morning, they were stunned. After a few dozen seconds of processing, Lin Yunuo even rubbed her eyes to make sure it was really her dad having breakfast, then excitedly rushed over to him. "Dad, why are you here?" Chapter 106. Mission accomplished. Tang Chen picked Lin Yunuo up and placed her on his lap, looking at his daughter with adoration. He then glanced up at his son sitting across from him, who was pretending to be deep in thought but kept sneaking glances at him. Tang Chen deliberately paused before answering his daughter's question. "Dad will be here every morning from now on. Lin Yunhuo happily hugged his head and gave him a kiss on the cheek. He noticed that his son sitting across from them also visibly brightened up. The family of four sat together for breakfast again, this time in the small dining room instead of the villa's large dining hall. While the setting had changed, the joyful atmosphere of the family eating together remained the same, especially for Tang Chen, who was clearly in a better mood than during their previous meals together. After having a good breakfast, Tang Chen and Lin Shu sent Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunhuo to kindergarten together. Tang Chen pulled Lin Shu back home, and as soon as they entered the house, he asked Lin Shu to get their household registration booklet. He planned to take it and drive Lin Shu directly to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get their marriage certificate. However, Lin Shu disagreed, saying that before they sorted things out with the two little ones, they couldn't act first and explain later again. Tang Chen sat on the living room sofa with a frustrated expression. Lin Shu thought to herself how childish he was acting now, seeing him vent his anger on the remote control, constantly changing channels without stopping. It was clear he wasn't actually watching TV, he was just tormenting the remote. Lin Shu was about to leave for her studio. Seeing that he showed no intention of going to work and continued to lounge on the sofa, she said, "I'm heading out, aren't you going to work?" Counting the time spent in Paris, he really hasn't been to the company for a long time. Is it really appropriate for the boss of a large company to be like this? Tang Chen finally put down the remote control, looked up at Lin Shu, and asked somewhat nervously, "Where are you going?" Lin Shu had already changed her clothes and was putting on her shoes and picking up her bag by the entrance. "I'm going to the studio, I've been away for so long, and Cici has been taking care of Cheng Cheng and Nuo, so I probably have a lot of work to catch up on." Seeing Tang Chen remain silent, Lin Shu opened the door and prepared to leave. "I'll take you." Just as Lin Shu opened the door, Tang Chen rose from the sofa and spoke in a tone that brooked no refusal. Lin Shu's hand on the doorknob froze instantly. Does this person really not need to go to work? Tang Chen grabbed his car keys, led Lin Shu out, drove him to the studio, and only then returned to the company. The secretaries in the president's office clearly noticed that their boss had returned from this business trip as a completely different person. Previously, he was always cold and distant, making people keep their distance for fear of freezing if they got too close, but this time, why did the boss seem so approachable? Everyone huddled in the office, whispering and gossiping about their boss. Secretary Yang, who knew a bit more as the leader of the group, didn't join in the gossip about their boss, but she also felt that he had truly changed after returning. She knew it definitely wasn't because of Miss Wen. Ever since she saw Miss Wen leave with red eyes last time, she hadn't seen her come again. So it must have been because of the mother of the twins who came to see the boss last time that had caused this change in him. Tang Chen returned to the company and asked Li Cheng to bring the documents that needed processing to his office. He then stayed in his office to work and left promptly at 3:30 p.m. Not only had he been late in the morning, but he was also leaving early. After leaving the company, he sent a WeChat message to Lin Shu, telling her that he would pick up the two children and that she didn't need to rush back. Lin Shu was just about to leave the studio when she received a message from Tang Chen. She put her bag down and went back to continue working. Chen Cici, seeing her return, asked curiously, "Sister Shu, weren't you going to pick up Cheng Cheng and Nuo? Why are you back?" Chen sent a message saying he's already on his way, he'll pick them up, so I'll go home a bit later, Lin Shu replied. Continuing to focus on cutting the fabric, Chen Cici clicked her tongue and joked, TSK, making our Mr. Tang, who earns hundreds of millions in minutes, take time to pick up the kids. Only our Cheng Cheng and Nuo have that kind of power. Sister Shu, why don't you talk to Mr. Tang? I can help pick up the kids from now on so he doesn't have to waste his money-making time. Just pay me a fraction of his earnings. Lin Shu actually felt that Tang Chen didn't need to leave work early every time to pick up Cheng Cheng and Nuo. After all, they had flexible schedules, and she could go pick them up herself. She thought that since it was a large company, even as the boss, frequently arriving late and leaving early might not be appropriate. Maybe I'll bring it up when I see him tonight, Lin Shu replied with a serious expression. Chen Cici quickly waved her hands in alarm and said, No, Sister Xiaoshu. I was just joking. Please don't say anything to President Tang. I'm happy to help pick up my godson and goddaughter. I don't need any payment. Lin Shu also knew that Chen Sisi was joking and smiled without saying anything more. Knowing that Tang Chen was at home, Lin Shu also left a bit earlier. He definitely wouldn't prepare dinner, so she needed to go back early to buy some groceries at the market. Lin Shu opened the door and entered the house, but didn't see anyone. She only heard cheerful laughter coming from the room. She put the groceries in the kitchen and then walked into the room. She saw 3 people sitting on the floor, playing a racing game. Tang Chen noticed Lin Shu standing outside the door and alerted the 2 little ones. Mom is back. Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo turned their heads and saw that their mom was back. They both excitedly shared with her the fun things that happened today and the game their dad was playing with them. Lin Shu had no doubts about Nuo, who had always been very attached to her dad, but she could clearly sense that Cheng Cheng had grown much closer to Tang Chen. Mom is going to start cooking first. Can you play a little longer and then come out to wash your hands? After Lin Shu went to the kitchen, she began preparing dinner. She lowered her head and washed the vegetables carefully, but was startled by a sudden voice from behind. Tang Chen had entered the kitchen at some point without her noticing. Let me help you with that. Lin Shu asked him to boil water and then wash the vegetables. She chopped the ingredients and started stewing the lotus root and pork rib soup first. Tang Chen stood in the kitchen, watching Lin Shu's busy figure as he helped out alongside her. The familiar aroma slowly filling the kitchen made him feel even more cheerful without realizing it. For dinner, Lin Shu prepared lotus root and pork rib soup, minced meat with vermicelli, garlic spinach, steamed egg with minced pork, and braised pork. It was a lavish meal for the 4 of them. Tang Chen had been standing by after washing the vegetables, once the last dish was stir-fried. He went into the room to call the 2 little ones to wash their hands and eat. The family of 4 sat at the dining table, with Lin Shu and Tang Chen on one side, and Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo on the other. At the table, the 2 little ones kept chattering non-stop. Tang Chen cleared his throat lightly and announced that he had something important to say. The other 3 looked up in unison, their eyes fixed on him. Tang Chen said to the 2 little ones, "Dad and Mom will be together forever from now on." The 2 little ones might not understand much else, but they understood what forever together meant. So, does that mean Mom and Dad won't be separated anymore? Lin Shu was slightly taken aback and turned to look at the 2 children. She wasn't worried about Nuo, but Cheng Cheng had probably had some reservations about Tang Chen before. She was concerned about her son's feelings, which was why she had said they would only remarry if both children agreed. Lin Shu looked at her son with some concern. Unexpectedly, Cheng Cheng asked directly, "Dad, when are you 2 having the wedding? Like on TV, can my sister and I be the flower girls?" Did she miss something? Chapter 107. Finally agreeing, Lin Shu turned her head back, staring at Tang Chen with a puzzled expression, hoping to find an answer on his face. Tang Chen, with a warm smile, only looked at Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo, not at her. Lin Shu heard him reply, "Yes. Mom and Dad, Cheng Cheng and Nuo will definitely be the flower girls." Awesome. The 2 little ones expressed their great excitement. After dinner, the family of 4 sat in the living room watching TV for a while. Thinking that Cheng Cheng and Nuo had school the next day, they urged the 2 to go back to their rooms to take a bath. Cheng Cheng went first, washed up, and got into bed. Nuo acted spoiled with her mom, wanting her to help with the bath. Lin Shu said to Tang Chen, "You can just close the door when you leave later." "Mom, can Dad stay here tonight?" Nuo asked Lin Shu. Tang Chen winked at his daughter behind Lin Shu's back, thinking what a good little girl she was. "His little, but we don't have an extra bed. Daddy can sleep with Mommy. Other kids' parents all sleep together," Lin Yunuo said very seriously. Lin Shu's face turned bright red from her daughter's innocent words. And the one who started it all is still laughing behind the scenes. Tang Chen saw that the young woman was genuinely embarrassed and suppressed a triumphant smile. He said to his little darling, "Daddy will stay again tomorrow. Tonight, be good and sleep well with your brother." Okay. Lin Shu felt that this person's thick-skinned attitude was truly unbeatable. She took her daughter to the bathroom without bothering to respond to him any further. After giving Nono a bath and getting her own clothes wet in the process, she took a shower as well. Once both little ones were settled and asleep, Lin Shu finally stepped out of their room. She thought Tang Chen had already left, so after her shower, she went straight to wearing her pajamas without putting on any undergarments. Feeling Tang Echen's unintentional glance, she was utterly annoyed. Tang Echen was sitting on the living room sofa. When Lin Shu came out, he glanced at her discreetly. Her hair was still half damp from the shower, and her thin, conservative-style pajamas, though not low-cut, revealed the faint outline of her collarbone and the soft curves of her chest through the fabric. Just one look was enough to make his mouth go dry. To make matters worse, the petite woman in front of him looked as innocent as a little white rabbit. He could feel his entire body heating up, blood rushing to his head, and a growing sense of losing control. If I didn't know what this foolish woman was like, I'd really suspect she did it on purpose. He felt his throat was extremely dry, and there was an unusual heat on his face. He got up and walked toward the kitchen, his voice unnaturally hoarse. "I'm going to get some water." After saying that, he rushed into the kitchen. Lin Shu, seeing his figure disappear at the kitchen door, hurried back to her room to put on a coat before coming out. Tang Echen went to the kitchen and gulped down 2 large glasses of ice water, waiting for the inner restlessness to subside before stepping out. "It's very late, aren't you going back yet?" As soon as Tang Echen walked out of the kitchen, he heard Lin Shu's hint for him to leave and noticed the young woman had put on an outer coat. Tang Echen wasn't annoyed. He walked straight to the sofa and sat down, casually crossing his long legs and leaning back against the cushions with a relaxed and carefree air. Although sitting, he still carried a strong presence. "Honey, do you really have the heart to make me drive back alone so late?" Lin Shu couldn't help but cast a cold glance at him. This person's face was really getting thicker and thicker. She had told him to go back an hour ago, and now he was pretending to be pitiful, saying it was too late. From each, she wasn't going to fall for it, otherwise. "You can have the driver come pick you up." Seeing that pretending to be pitiful wasn't working, Tang Echen stared at Lin Shu, whose earlobes had inadvertently flushed red with slight anger. He decided it was best to quit while he was ahead. After all, they hadn't even gotten their marriage certificate yet. He didn't want to scare his future wife away. "Then I'll really go. I'll come back tomorrow morning." Tang Echen picked up his car keys and jacket, ready to leave. Lin Shu, thinking about his current unproductive state, couldn't help but say, "Don't you need to go to the company?" "Yes, I do. I'll come over first to have breakfast with Cheng Cheng and Wonuo. Then take them to school. After that, we'll go get our marriage certificate. And then I'll head to the company." Tang Echen listed everything one by one, clearly laying out his plans. Hearing him mention getting the marriage certificate, Lin Shu couldn't help but coquettishly retort, "Who said I'm going to get a marriage certificate with you?" Tang Echen panicked a little upon hearing this and anxiously said, "But you promised. You said as long as I handled Cheng Cheng and Wonuo, we'd go get the certificate, and I've already taken care of them." Tang Echen had completely lost the mood to tease her by now. He had already grabbed his keys and clothes and was heading toward the door, but now he stopped, afraid of hearing Lin Shu say the word no. There was even a hint of pleading in his tone, begging Lin Shu to agree. Lin Shu found Tang Echen's actions rather amusing. She deliberately said, "Let's talk about it tomorrow." "What do you mean, talk about it tomorrow?" "We absolutely must go get the marriage certificate tomorrow." "I don't care, I'm not leaving. I'll sleep on the sofa and wait right here." After saying this, he actually put down his keys and clothes, intending to return to the living room and stubbornly stay put. Lin Shu saw that he was serious and quickly stopped him. All right, let's go back. We'll go get it tomorrow. Don't disturb Cheng Cheng and Wonuo." Tang Echen finally relaxed when he heard Lin Shu agree, tilting his head and leaning his face closer. "Then give me a kiss first, as a promise." Lin Shu looked at him with amusement, thinking he could still make a decision. How childish. Seeing that Lin Shu remained still, Tang Echen kept his face tilted upward, waiting, unable to resist him. Lin Shu stood on her tiptoes and gently placed a kiss on his cheek. Only then did the man leave with peace of mind. About half an hour later, while lying in bed, Lin Shu received a WeChat message from someone. "Wife, I'm home. Good night. Good night." After sending these 2 words, Lin Shu finally lay down to sleep. The next day, Tang Echen arrived particularly early. Before Lin Shu had even gotten out of bed, she heard the doorbell ring. Yawning, she groggily went to open the door. Tang Echen stood energetically outside the door, seemingly holding something in his hand. "I think I came too early. Go back to sleep for a while. I bought breakfast, and we can heat it up and eat later." Tang Chen said as he pushed Lin Shu back into the room to sleep, then went to the kitchen to put the breakfast away. Lin Shu, dazed like a puppet, let him take charge. After returning to the room, she glanced at her watch to confirm the time. This person had only gone back so late last night, and now he was here again, and he was actually in the kitchen preparing breakfast. Lin Shu couldn't help but pinch her own face. It felt so unreal. Tang Chen was in the living room, quietly taking out his laptop to handle some work. When it was about time, he went to wake them up. Lin Shu got up and looked at the table full of breakfast, still feeling like it was all very unreal. After dropping Cheng Cheng and Wonuo off at school, Tang Chen took Lin Shu back to get their household registration book and headed straight to the Civil Affairs Bureau. Chapter 108. Remarrying. After leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, Tang Chen stared at the red booklet in his hand, which read marriage certificate. Finally, they were back together. He took the other booklet from Lin Shu, snapped a photo, and then immediately put it in his pocket, saying, "I'll keep them both. What if we get divorced again?" Lin Shu asked, half jokingly and half seriously. "Don't even think about it," Tang Chen said with deliberate fierceness, then took Lin Shu's hand firmly and led her into the car. In the car, Tang Chen was driving from the driver's seat, while Lin Shu sat in the passenger seat. The two discussed that it was Friday, and since they had just gotten their marriage certificate, they needed to make a trip to the old house to inform Grandpa. Tang Chen dropped Lin Shu off at the studio before heading back to the company. As soon as he entered the office, he took out his phone, pulled up the photo of the marriage certificate he had just taken, and sent it to the group chat with a few people. In no time, the group chat exploded. Mo Ziyi silently sent a thumbs-up emoji. "Qin Hao, bro, awesome. Ji Feng fan, looks like the advice I gave came in handy." Lu Yang, "When did this happen?" Tang Chen, in a rare good mood, replied with 2 words, "Today, then." Ignoring them, he put his phone aside and started working. Lu Yang kept asking for details in the group chat, but no one responded to him. Unwilling to give up, he directly called Tang Chen. Tang Chen, buried in his work, glanced at the phone but didn't answer. Tang Chen had no time to deal with him. He wanted to finish work early, pick up his wife and children, and happily head back to the old house for a family dinner. He had no time to chat with Xiao Wu. Last night, when he went back alone and saw the empty house, he felt so pitiful, like a lonely soul. The whole house was completely silent, making him feel incredibly lonely. As a result, he barely slept and got up early the next morning to rush straight to Xinjiang Garden. He swore he would never go back to the villa alone again. After Lin Shu agreed to remarry, he realized how terrifying it was to live alone, without the constant chattering and noise, with no one to talk to. He couldn't muster any enthusiasm for anything. He was even petty enough to be jealous of Cheng Cheng and Wonuo, who used to sleep with Lin Shu every day. Lin Shu had just walked into the studio when Chen Sisi happened to come out from inside. Seeing the smile on Lin Shu's face, she looked quite different from before. "Xiao Shu, you look so radiant. I can't help but wonder if last night you and President Tang." Chen Sisi's suggestive expression made Lin Shu a little embarrassed, and she patted her shoulder. Well," she hesitated, seeming unsure how to begin. "Xiao Shu, just say it already. I'm dying of curiosity," Chen Sisi urged impatiently. Watching Lin Shu's hesitant expression, "We remarried." After Lin Shu spoke, Chen Sisi didn't react with the expected shock. Instead, she said in a knowing tone, "Oh, I thought it was something serious. Wasn't this bound to happen sooner or later? Why though, I'm still really conflicted." Lin Shu had genuinely hesitated before. With President Tang being the way he is, do you think you could escape his grasp? So it was only a matter of time before you were won over. Getting back together was within my expectations. Chen Sisi felt that with President Tang's looks, his status, and the fact that he had developed feelings and actively pursued the one he liked, while Sister Xiaoshu clearly still had feelings for him too, it was only natural for the two of them to get back together in no time. So when she heard Sister Xiaoshu say they had reconciled, she wasn't the least bit surprised. That's great, President Tang seems sincere. And it's wonderful that Sister Xiaoshu's family of 4 is reunited and happy. Suddenly, she thought of a question. "Xiaoshu, where will you all live later? Are you moving back to the villa or staying at Xinjiang Garden? We haven't discussed it yet. Xinjiang Garden is more convenient." So I'll talk to a Chen about it later. Lin Shu, afraid that Chen Cece was worried about the living situation, quickly said, Cece, I've kept your room for you. Don't feel embarrassed, okay, haha. I'm thick-skinned, anyway. The apartment lease isn't up yet, so I'll definitely be staying at the apartment most of the time. Sometimes, you two need time for yourselves as a couple. When that happens, just leave Cheng Cheng and Nuo to me. I'm just worried that President Tang might not be used to living in such a small place. Lin Shu didn't think Tangachen would have any trouble adjusting. She had seen how comfortable and familiar he was at Xenjing Garden. There wasn't a hint of discomfort at all. As the two chatted, they continued working. Xiao Wei, listening in on the conversation between her two bosses, learned that Xiaoshu and President Tang had remarried. She had found it hard to believe at first that President Tang was Cheng Cheng and Nuo's father. Xiao Wei was also very fond of Cheng Cheng and Nuo, so she felt relieved that she had taken them to JK Group to find President Tang back then. Now that Xiaoshu had remarried, it was wonderful. Cheng Cheng and Nuo could be with both their parents. JK Group. Tangachen came out of his office promptly at 3:30 and ran into Li Cheng, who was there to deliver documents. Mr. Tang, are you heading out? Li Cheng asked, puzzled. He remembered there was no external appointment on Mr. Tang's schedule for the day. Yes, I'm off to pick up my child. After saying this, he noticed the documents Li Cheng was holding and added, from now on, any documents that have been approved online can be handled directly by Mr. Qin. There's no need to bring them up here. After saying that, he left without looking back. At that moment, Qin Hao, sitting in his office, sneezed and thought to himself, what's going on? Li Cheng watched his boss hurriedly leave, standing alone in the empty corridor with a stack of folders in his arms. The boss has really turned into a super dad now. If people in the business world found out that the esteemed president of JK Group comes in late and leaves early every day just to pick up and drop off his kids, they'd laugh their heads off. Li Cheng was about to return to his office when Secretary Yang came out to get water. Seeing Li Cheng frowning, she took the initiative to ask him, Assistant Li, what's wrong with you? You look so worried. Did the boss scold you? Li Cheng shook his head. The boss has gone back. He's gone again. Lately, the boss has been coming in late and leaving early so often. It's different from before, and we're just not used to it. He went to pick up the kids. Don't you think the boss is neglecting his duties? Li Cheng felt that the boss was truly neglecting his duties. Now that the boss is successful in his career, why wouldn't he hurry home every day to enjoy the warmth of family life with his wife and kids? Besides, isn't it easier for you when the boss isn't around? Why do you look so miserable? Secretary Yang, as a traditional woman, thought the current boss was much better than the cold and distant one before, much more humane. The problem is, with the boss gone, there's even more work. Li Cheng actually missed the workaholic boss more, because the boss used to handle everything personally, and he had it much easier back then. Secretary Yang and the executive office really had almost nothing to do once Tangachen left. Secretary Yang couldn't help but pat Li Cheng on the shoulder and said solemnly, Assistant Li, we sympathize with you. Li Cheng let out a heavy sigh and resignedly took the documents to find General Qin Hao. Chapter 109 Showing Off. Tangachen hurriedly left the company, drove himself to the kindergarten to pick up the two children, then went to the studio to pick up Lin Shu. The family of four returned to the old house. The old man was overjoyed to see the family of four returning together. The two little ones were also ecstatic. As soon as they saw their great-grandfather, they clung to him, begging him to play with them. At the dinner table, while everyone was happily eating, Tangachen took the marriage certificate out of his pocket and placed it in front of his grandfather. Then, with a proud and smug expression, he continued eating. The old man hadn't quite grasped what his grandson was up to yet, but old Chen beside him took a closer look and excitedly grabbed the old man's hand. Master, it's a marriage certificate. The old man's hands trembling with excitement, he picked up the two red booklets from the table, opening and examining them over and over. Finally, his gaze settled on Lin Shu. Xiaoshu, tell Grandpa the truth. Did this rascal use some underhanded method to force you into this? Tell me. And Grandpa will stand up for you. Lin Shu's face was so red it looked like it was about to bleed. How could this person even flaunt their marriage certificate? Seeing Lin Shu with her head lowered, the old man grew even angrier. I knew that brat couldn't do anything good, he said, grabbing a pair of chopsticks to hit him. Tang Chen was used to it. He felt that Lin Shu was the old man's real granddaughter. In the past, when the old man found out they had divorced, he had hit him. Now, after he had finally managed to win his wife back, he was still getting hit. Not only did the old man not believe him, but he even suspected that he had resorted to underhanded tactics. Seeing this, Lin Shu quickly stopped him, saying, Grandpa, don't get worked up, Chen didn't force me. I was willing to remarry Chen. After saying this, Lin Shu lowered her head even further. Hearing this, the old man happily put down his chopsticks, repeatedly saying, good. His eyes then fixed intently on the 2 marriage certificates, looking them over again and again. Seeing his grandfather still staring at the marriage certificates, Tang Chen couldn't help but say, Grandpa, give them back to me first. Don't worry, they're real. After saying that, he reached out to take it back and put it back in his pocket. Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo listened to the adults while eating. Both children already understood what marriage meant, so were mom and dad finally married. They were overjoyed. Lin Yunuo thought that when they returned to Yun City, she would see if Taidan still dared to say she didn't have a father. Lin Yuqing, on the other hand, recalled the conversation he had with Tang Chen 2 days ago, where Tang apologized for not taking good care of them and promised to love their mother well in the future. The old man, seeing the family so happily reunited, couldn't help but ask Uncle Chen to bring out the wine he had stored at home earlier and share a small drink with Tang Chen. Later, he was helped upstairs by Uncle Chen to sleep early, and before leaving, he didn't forget to give the order for them to stay overnight. Tonight, after their bath, the 2 little ones actually insisted on sleeping by themselves. Lin Shu thought that they had probably gotten used to it and become more independent, which made her feel a bit lost for a moment. So it's never the children who can't do without the adults, but the adults who can't do without the children. Just as Lin Shu came out of the children's room, she ran into Tang Chen standing at the door. The person made no sound at all, and Lin Shu took a step back in fright, patting her chest. Why are you standing at the door without making any sound? I was waiting for you, Tang Chen said with a pitiful tone. He had been waiting in the room for Lin Shu to come, worried that she might have gone to sleep directly with Nuo, so he hurried out to look for her. He had just reached the door when he saw Lin Shu come out, which was why he ended up startling her. Are Cheng and Nuo asleep? Just fell asleep. Then let's go, honey, let's head back to our room. As soon as Tang Chen heard that both children were asleep, he quickly took Lin Shu's hand and led her back to their room. As soon as the door closed, he pressed her against it, followed by a storm of passionate kisses. He had been drinking with his grandfather earlier, and when he pulled away, his breath carried a faint scent of alcohol. Lin Shu's face was flushed, as if she had been holding her breath from the intensity of the kiss. Tang Chen raised his hand and gently touched her cheek. Unable to hide the joy at the corner of his mouth, he was slightly drunk at the moment, but his mind was incredibly clear. He stared at Lin Shu with a silly smile, saying, Wife, you're finally back. As he spoke, his head lowered further, and an infinitely tender kiss landed on her flushed cheek. Suddenly, Tang Chen bent down, picked Lin Shu up, and carried her toward the large bed in the middle of the bedroom. Lin Shu was startled by his sudden movement. Clutching his neck tightly with both hands, Lin Shu was placed on the large bed by him. Looking at the familiar arrangement of the room, it was still the same as before. This was the first time she had stepped in since returning. Previously, when staying overnight at the old house, she had always slept with Cheng and Nuo and never entered their room. Tang Chen noticed the young woman beneath him was actually lost in thought. He leaned down and directly sealed her lips with his, taking advantage of her dazed state to press forward without hesitation. His movements were both urgent and heavy, and it wasn't until Lin Shu was nearly breathless that he finally released her. You're so silly, you never remember to breathe. Tang Chen smiled slightly, his words full of teasing, yet his eyes were filled with tenderness and affection. He continued, Your husband is right in front of you, and you still dare to daydream. Lin Shu raised her hand and gently tapped his shoulder, her coquettish eyes, as enchanting as silk, captivating him with just one glance. From her vantage point, the line of his jaw was clear and handsome. His prominent Adam's apple was irresistibly attractive, occasionally moving up and down. Through the unbuttoned collar of his shirt, she could see his firm chest and well-defined abs, warm and powerful. Listening to the words wife and husband from his lips, terms that had never been spoken before, touched the softest part of her heart. Tang Chen looked at the person beneath him and gently kissed her again, as if kissing a treasure held in the palm of his hand. Slowly, his lips moved from her mouth to her neck, and then further down. Lin Shu couldn't help but let out a soft moan, tentatively wrapping her arms around his. Feeling the initiative of the delicate woman beneath him, Tang Chen grew even more excited. With her warm, fragrant softness in his arms, he found it impossible to resist. And his reactions became even more intense. Afterwards, it was already midnight. Lin Shu, her face flushed, pushed him away and prepared to get out of bed to take a shower. Tang Chen held her in his arms, kissing her again and again, still reluctant to let go. I'll shower with you. No. Lin Shu firmly refused and quickly ran into the bathroom, locking the door. She didn't want to go through that again. Tang Chen lay on the bed, chuckling softly as he casually pulled the thin quilt over his body, revealing his well-defined 8-pack abs. The air conditioner was on in the room, but he didn't feel cold. After Lin Shu finished her shower, she urged Tang Chen to go in and wash up as well. Earlier, neither of them had taken a bath before. Exhausted, Lin Shu fell asleep almost as soon as she lay down after her shower. When Tang Chen came out and saw the petite woman lying quietly in bed, breathing evenly, he walked over gently, climbed into bed, and wrapped his arms around the sleeping woman from behind. The woman in his arms instinctively adjusted her position in his embrace and continued to sleep soundly. He lowered his head and planted a kiss on her crown, saying affectionately, "Darling, thank you for coming back." Only then did they close their eyes and fall asleep together. Chapter 110. Awkwardness. Over the weekend, the whole family stayed at the old house to keep the grandfather company. Lin Shu still had unfinished work at her studio, so she went there early in the morning. When she got up, Tang Chen was still asleep, so she didn't wake him. She quietly got out of bed and went to the bathroom outside to freshen up. I went downstairs and ran into Aunt Wang. I greeted her and then went out. Tang Chen woke up, reached out with his eyes closed and felt around. No one was there. He opened his eyes, sat up, and looked around. Lin Shu was not in the room. He put on a jacket, got out of bed, and went downstairs. Aunt Wang saw him coming downstairs and said proactively, "Young master." The young mistress woke up very early and said she was going to the studio. The little master and little miss have already had breakfast and went out to play with their great-grandfather. They're probably at the park in front. Tang Chen nodded, turned around, and went back upstairs. He found his phone and called Lin Shu. The phone rang for a while before it was answered. "Wifey." Lin Shu was cutting fabric with her phone on the table. She put down the scissors, walked over, and as soon as she picked up the phone, she heard a coquettish voice on the other end. "Chen, what's wrong? Why didn't you wake me up when you got up this morning? If you were going to the studio, I could have driven you." Tang Chen hadn't seen Lin Shu when he woke up in the morning and later found out she had gone to work on her own. He felt a bit unsettled, as if she didn't need him. "I left early because I wanted to let you sleep a little longer." Lin Shu's gentle voice came through, and Tang Chen's irritation instantly faded away. "Then when will you be done? I'll come pick you up. It might be in the afternoon. I'll call you ahead of time then." "Fine." After hanging up the phone, Lin Shu continued to focus on her work. Although it was the weekend, due to the recent increase in business, there were others in the studio working overtime. Cece had gone to the fabric market, and Xiaowei was also there. It was almost noon, and Aunt Wang was in the kitchen preparing lunch. Tang Chen had been working in his study all morning. He came downstairs just as Grandpa brought Cheng Cheng and Nuo in from outside. "Daddy." The two little ones had clearly had a great time playing, with mud stains on their faces and clothes. "Where did you go?" Tang Chen couldn't help but ask. Where had Grandpa taken them? He thought they were just going to the park nearby. How did they end up like this? "Great-Grandpa and Grandpa Chen took us fishing." "Look, Dad, we caught several fish. I caught 3, and my sister caught 1. Great-Grandpa and Grandpa Chen also caught some." The two little ones held Tang Chen's hand and went to see the small bucket in Uncle Chen's hand, where 4 or 5 small fish were swimming around. Tang Chen followed them to place the bucket in the garden and then led them upstairs to take a bath and change clothes. After finishing their bath and coming downstairs, it was just in time for lunch. "Dad, where's Mom?" the two little ones asked, sitting at the dining table without seeing Lin Shu. Mom went to work and won't be home for lunch. Upon hearing this, the old man asked Aunt Wang to pack some food in a thermal container and said to Tang Chen, "Take this to Xiao Shu." Tang Chen hadn't originally thought of bringing lunch to Lin Shu, as they had agreed on the phone in the morning that he would pick her up in the afternoon. But hearing his grandfather say this, and since he had mostly finished his morning work, he thought it would be a good idea to go earlier, accompany her at work, and then go home together in the afternoon. In a hurry to bring food to Lin Shu, he just ate a little himself and then went out carrying the thermal container. Originally, Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo wanted to go along, but Grandpa said they were going fishing in the afternoon, so the two little ones decisively abandoned their parents and chose to go fishing instead. Tang Chen drove his usual Rolls-Royce to the studio, excitedly carrying the thermal container. He had planned to surprise Lin Shu, so he didn't call or message in advance. However, when Tang Chen arrived at the studio, he found out she wasn't there. He only saw the young lady he had added last time sitting inside, having her lunch. Xiao Wei was sitting at the desk, eating takeout when she heard a sound. She turned around and was so startled that she immediately stood up from her chair. She greeted him somewhat awkwardly, "Mr. Tang. Are you here to see Sister Xiaoshu?" Tang Chen was carrying a thermal lunchbox, which contrasted quite sharply with his usual unapproachable demeanor. He nodded gently and asked, "Is she not here?" Xiao Wei snapped to attention and quickly replied, "Oh, Sister Xiaoshu just took a call and said she'd step out for a moment. She left about half an hour ago. Would you like to wait in her office?" "All right." Tang Chen carried the thermal lunchbox into Lin Shu's office, placed it on the desk, and took out his phone to call her. After dialing, there was no answer. He set his phone down, sat on the sofa, and casually picked up a magazine to read. He sent Lin Shu a WeChat message in the meantime. But there was no reply. After finishing the magazine, he grew bored and started playing a game. Nearly an hour later, he finally heard Lin Shu returning. Tang Chen quickly put down his game and went out to meet her. Frozen in an instant, he stared darkly at Lin Shu and the man who had entered with her. Seeing Tang Chen emerge from her office, Lin Shu quickly walked over and tugged at his sleeve. "Chen, what brings you here?" Tang Chen said somewhat coldly. Grandpa asked me to bring you lunch, but it seems it's not needed now." Lin Muyao stepped forward to greet him. "Hello, President Tang." Tang Chen awkwardly nodded with a cold expression. Even if Lin Shu was slow to notice, she could sense that Tang Chen was unhappy and tugged at his sleeve. Neither of them spoke. Lin Muyao took the initiative to speak. "Xiao Shu, I'll head off first. Let's make plans another day when we're free." He then looked at Tang Chen and said, "President Tang, next time there's a chance, I'd like to invite you and Xiao Shu for a meal. I'll take my leave now. Goodbye." "Goodbye, Brother Yao." After Lin Muyao left, Lin Shu pulled Tang Chen back to the office. Seeing the thermal container on the desk and the perpetually cold-faced someone, she deliberately asked, "Is this for me?" As she spoke, she opened the lid. "It smells so good." Tang Chen actually knew that there was nothing between Lin Shu and her brother Yao. But he couldn't help feeling unhappy about them going out alone. After all, they had grown up together, and a man's intuition was always sharp. From their first meeting, he had known that her brother Yao had feelings for her. Tang Chen sat down sullenly beside Lin Shu. The thermal container worked quite well. It was still warm even after such a long time. "Haven't you already eaten?" "I didn't eat enough earlier." "Have you eaten? Shall we have a little more together?" Lin Shu said with a smile. As if she hadn't noticed the sullen tone and expression of the person beside her, Lin Shu took out the boxes one by one, went out to find Xiao Wei and brought back a pair of disposable chopsticks. The two of them sat at the table and began to eat. "This is really delicious. Aunt Wang's cooking is even better than what you get outside." Lin Shu deliberately made conversation. This person must have noticed that Brother Yao was unhappy and was being stubborn without saying anything. "Just now when I went out, I heard Xiao Wei say that he had been waiting for over an hour. My phone was on silent, so I didn't hear his calls or messages." Knowing the young woman was trying to cheer him up, Tang Chen saw how happily she was eating, and the bit of gloom in his heart was swept away by her smile. "It's not as good as what you make," Tang Chen blurted out. Chapter 111. Watching a movie. It was unclear whether Lin Shu hadn't eaten enough during her lunch outing. But the lunch Tang Chen brought was completely finished by the two of them. With Tang Chen eating less than Lin Shu, after the meal, Lin Shu packed up the thermal container. Since it wasn't convenient to wash it at the studio, she decided to take it back for now. Lin Shu knew he was a bit unhappy today. As they sat on the sofa, she took the initiative to explain. Chen, Brother Yao just returned from a business trip and called me around noon saying he was near the studio. So we went out for lunch together. As she spoke, she raised her left hand. Look, I've already told Brother Yao that we're remarried. The gleaming ring shone brightly on her ring finger. She was actually wearing the ring from last time. The last bit of frustration in Tang Chen's heart had completely vanished. He had never truly doubted Lin Shu. It was his own lack of confidence and the foolish things he had done to her in the past. He had brought this upon himself. He held Lin Shu close. Feeling utterly content, Lin Shu lowered her head and studied his fingers. They were truly beautiful. How could someone have fingers so exquisitely shaped, slender, strong, and utterly captivating? When Nua molded the little figures, she must have shown him special favor. How could one person's appearance be crafted so perfectly? It was simply unfair. If you keep staring at your husband like that, I might think you want to. Tang Chen whispered into Lin Shu's ear, saying something that made her blush and her heart race. Lin Shu, blushing, pushed him away, but Tang Chen held on tight. The two of them fooled around on the sofa for a while, and it wasn't until he pinned her down and kissed her that he finally let go. Lin Shu returned to her desk to continue working. Tang Chen had no intention of leaving either. While Lin Shu focused on her tasks, he sat on the sofa in her office and continued playing games. The two of them were like a couple in the honeymoon phase, wanting to stick together every moment. Even though they were each doing their own things, the atmosphere was unusually warm and cozy. Lin Shu was focused on drawing, while Tang Chen glanced up from his game and saw her serious expression, a smile curling at the corners of his lips. He loved this feeling. The afternoon sunlight slanted in, and the person he loved was bathed in its glow, diligently working. His expression was incredibly gentle, as if that beam of sunlight had also shone into his heart. He had a thought that time should stop at this moment. Right in this beautiful and warm instant, Lin Shu noticed a burning gaze fixed on her. She looked up and unexpectedly met Tang Chen's affectionate eyes. The two exchanged a knowing smile. Are you bored here? If so, you can head back first. I'll finish this draft and take a taxi home later. Not at all. I'll wait for you so we can go back together. Take your time with the drawing. In the end, Lin Shu still finished work early, and the two of them walked out of the studio hand in hand, chatting and laughing. Xiao Wei watched the two of them walk away and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. They were truly a perfect match. A talented man and a beautiful woman, so well suited for each other. No wonder they could have such adorable and beautiful children like Cheng Cheng and Wonuo. It was still early, so Tang Chen, holding Lin Shu's hand, suddenly suggested going to see a movie. In truth, he hadn't been to one before, but he thought that going to the movies was something couples should do on a date. Lin Shu thought about the two little ones at home and hesitated, saying, Cheng Cheng and Wonuo are still at home. How about, Grandpa took them to catch fish, and they were having so much fun. Otherwise, do you think they wouldn't have followed me here? Alright then, we can head back for dinner right after we finish watching. There was a cinema in the mall near the studio, so the two of them walked over instead of driving. When they arrived at the cinema, Tang Chen went to buy the tickets. They had already decided on the way to watch a recently released comedy film, something light and easy. Lin Shu bought 2 cups of milk tea, one with grape flavor and one with the original flavor. Although it was an afternoon screening, because it was the weekend and the film had been quite popular recently, the seats were almost full. Their seats were in the middle of the last row, offering a very good view. Since the last row was designed for couples, it was almost entirely occupied by married couples or partners. At a glance, their ages mostly ranged from 20 to 40. After finding their seats, Lin Shu handed the original flavored milk tea to Tang Chen. Tang Chen didn't usually drink such things, but since Lin Shu had bought it, he gladly accepted. He took a sip and found it quite pleasant. Glancing at the one in Lin Shu's hand, he noticed it seemed different. What flavor is yours? Grape. Yours is the original flavor. Let me have a taste. Lin Shu kept her eyes on the movie and casually handed over her cup. Tang Chen glanced over, bypassed the milk tea, and directly kissed Lin Shu by holding the back of her head, still wanting more. It tastes better than mine. Lin Shu blushed and secretly glanced at the people in the adjacent seats. Fortunately, no one had noticed. This light romantic comedy had Lin Shu watching with great seriousness and immersion. She was laughing almost from the very beginning, and the cinema would occasionally erupt with waves of laughter. During the emotional parts, Lin Shu even found herself shedding tears. Tang Chen had always known that his partner was the type to get deeply invested in whatever she watched, often crying along, but he hadn't expected that even a comedy like this could move her to tears. Everyone around them was happily enjoying the film, but the woman beside him had tears in her eyes. Tang Chen took out a tissue and gently wiped her tears away. Lin Shu felt a bit embarrassed, but she always got emotionally invested when watching movies or TV shows. Laughing and crying along with the story, as she wiped her tears, Tang Chen simply looked at her with adoration. Lin Shu tilted her head to look at him. His gaze was dark and bright, like a deep pool of water that made one lose themselves. Lin Shu let out a soft sigh, her face flushing as she turned her head away. "Don't cry, or I'll kiss you right here." Although he knew she was crying because of the movie's plot, seeing her tears made him unable to bear it. So he couldn't help but threaten her. Lin Shu wiped away her tears and let out a soft laugh. She couldn't resist raising her small hand to gently tap him, but she didn't have the heart to use much force, so to Tang Chen, it felt more like a tickle. He took the opportunity to hold Lin Shu's hand. Their fingers interlocking tightly, the two of them were now focused on the movie, but a couple in the front row started kissing while watching. At that moment, Tang Chen's attention was entirely on Lin Shu. He had lost all interest in the movie. It was supposed to be a date for the two of them. Thinking about it this way, and since they were sitting in the last row, in a couple's seat with no armrests in between, Tang Chen began to openly take advantage of the situation from time to time. Lin Shu noticed that no one was paying attention to them, especially in their row where everyone was cuddling and sticking close to each other. So she simply let him have his way. When the movie ended, both of them felt a sense of lingering satisfaction. Lin Shu was thinking about the plot of the movie, while Tang Chen was thinking about the incident of taking advantage earlier. Chapter 112. So good, the two returned just in time for dinner. When the old man saw them walking in hand, he couldn't help but secretly smile. Lin Yunyor ran over, took her parents' hands, and led them to the garden to see the results of their fish catching that day. Lin Yuqing, who had been squatting by the bucket, quickly stood up when he saw his parents being led over by his little sister. "Mom, Dad, you're back. Come and see how many fish we caught today." Lin Shu walked closer and saw that there really were quite a few, more than a dozen fish of various sizes. "You two are amazing," Lin Shu praised them generously. A family of 4 was playing with the fish in the garden when Aunt Wang came over shortly after to call them for dinner. At the dining table, Aunt Wang served Lin Shu and Tang Chen each a bowl of soup, saying it was specially stewed for them and had been simmering for a long time. The old man kept his eyes fixed on the two as they drank the soup from their bowls. The implication was, "Drink it quickly." Lin Shu looked at the dark soup in front of her and her grandfather's expectant gaze. Even Aunt Wang stood nearby, seemingly waiting for them to drink it. Although it felt a bit strange, she didn't think too much about it and downed the entire bowl in one go. It tastes really good, thank you, Aunt Wang." Lin Shu put down the bowl. Although it looked dark, the flavor was indeed pleasant. Seeing that Lin Shu had drunk it, Tang Chen silently picked up the bowl in front of him and finished it in one go. The old man watched as both of them drank it and finally felt a sense of relief. Smiling as he invited everyone to start the meal, he knew there must be something wrong with the soup. Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunyor clamored to have some soup too, so Aunt Wang served them 2 bowls of pork rib soup with Chinese yam. Since Lin Shu returned with the 2 little ones, the house has been filled with constant laughter and joy. The old man feels he can live a few more years. The next day was Sunday, and in the evening, they still stayed at the old house to sleep. After dinner, Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunyor played 2 rounds of chess with their great-grandfather. Lin Shu then took them back to their room to bathe, and they went to sleep on their own. When Lin Shu returned to their own room, Tang Chen was already half lying on the bed, shirtless, looking at his phone. Lin Shu, who was already feeling a bit warm, grew even hotter at the sight of the shirtless man lying on the bed. She quickly grabbed her pajamas and hurried into the bathroom to take a shower. After finishing her shower and putting on her pajamas, Lin Shu came out and climbed into bed as well. "Chen, Is the air conditioning not on? Why does it feel so hot? Tang-Chen was indeed feeling increasingly hot as well. As sharp as he was, he thought of the bowl of soup from dinner. Tang-Chen leaned in, put down his phone, and pressed his entire body against her back from behind. He bit her ear, his warm breath washing over her, finally landing on her sensitive skin. Darling, I'm so hot too. Lin Shu struggled to get up from his embrace. I'll go turn on the air conditioning. I already turned it on, but it's still so hot. Tang-Chen didn't let go. He had indeed turned on the air conditioning and even lowered the temperature earlier. He had sensed something was off even before Lin Shu came in. Grandpa really went all out. His silly woman seemed not to know that it was because of the soup from the evening that had caused the problem. Could you let go first? It's really hot, but I'm burning all over right now. So hot, honey. Only then did Lin Shu realize that his voice carried a dangerous undertone. All the strength in her body seemed to have drained away, and she had no energy at all to push his arms away. Dense kisses fell on her back, so gentle that Lin Shu couldn't help but let out a soft Going crazy. Lin Shu hadn't expected Aunt Wang's bowl of soup to actually be problematic. It wasn't until she woke up in the morning and heard Tang-Chen mention it that she realized why both of them had been so. Last night. Thinking about last night, Lin Shu buried her face directly into the blanket. So embarrassing. After getting up, the family stayed at the old house until the afternoon before returning to Xinjiang Garden. Tang-Chen followed her upstairs with no intention of leaving. When it was time to sleep at night, Lin Shu finished her bath, returned to the room, jumped onto the bed, and clung tightly to the blanket, refusing to let go. She was truly exhausted from all the commotion and still felt some pain. After finishing his bath, Tang-Chen entered the room and couldn't help but laugh at the sight of his little wife being so guarded. Darling, is this really necessary? Lin Shu grumbled as she wrapped herself tightly in the blanket, saying, Tonight, we each sleep under our own blanket. If you don't like it, you can go back to the villa. After Tang-Chen got into bed, he kicked the blanket Lin Shu had prepared for him onto the floor and insisted on squeezing in with her. Holding her tightly in his arms, he said, I'm not that much of a beast. I just want to check if you're hurt. Lin Shu quickly grabbed his hand as it moved downward, stopping him. Don't look. Knowing the little woman was shy, he didn't force anything, just held her soft jade-like body in his arms. Then let's sleep. Lin Shu was held in his embrace, feeling as if there was a furnace behind her, hearing the even breathing of the person behind her, but the hard pressure on her waist was uncomfortable. She gently twisted her body, wanting to escape the touch from behind. Wife, if you don't sleep and keep twisting around, I can't guarantee I won't touch you tonight. The person behind suddenly spoke, startling Lin Shu so much that she froze, lying stiffly on the bed. I'm not moving, I'm going to sleep right away. A light chuckle sounded above her head, along with something impossible to ignore behind her. Lin Shu silently thought to herself that someone was a beast. Later, Lin Shu couldn't remember when she had fallen asleep, but she had a good night's rest. When she woke up, the person beside her was already gone. She could hear Cheng Cheng and Wonuo's voices outside. Oh no, Cheng Cheng and Wonuo still had to go to school. She remembered setting an alarm last night. Why hadn't she heard it? She grabbed a coat, threw it on haphazardly, and walked out of the room. As soon as she came out, she saw Tang-Chen and the two children sitting at the dining table having breakfast. Mom, you're awake. Dad said he can take us to kindergarten today so you can sleep a little longer. Lin Yucheng spoke thoughtfully. Right, Dad also made breakfast for us. Do you want to join us? Mom, Lin Yunuo, biting into a custard bun, invited her mother to have breakfast together. Lin Shu stared blankly at the scene before her. In the past, it had always been her who got up to prepare these things. She was used to it and never found it tiring. But today, watching the man sitting at the dining table, smiling brightly as he looked at her, she suddenly felt that being taken care of was truly wonderful. She walked over quietly and said, Why didn't the alarm I set go off? Why didn't you wake me up? Tang-Chen reached out and took her hand, gently rubbing her palm with his index finger. I turned off the alarm for you. I wanted you to sleep a little longer. I ordered breakfast from that shop you like. The one you said had good flavor last time. There's still some left in the kitchen for you. Go get it after you freshen up. I'll take Cheng Cheng and Wonuo to school. He then called out to the two little ones to grab their backpacks. The arrangement was crystal clear. Lin Shu nodded dazedly and was pushed by Tang Chen to wash up and change clothes. It wasn't until she heard the sound of the door closing that she snapped back to reality. Looking at herself in the mirror, she started to laugh foolishly. Chapter 113. Encounter. Lin Shu finished washing up, changed her clothes, and sat at the dining table eating breakfast. The taste was just as she remembered. The custard buns were fragrant, the soy milk was rich, and the century egg congee was thick and hearty. In short, everything was perfect. Just as she was happily eating, she heard the sound of the door opening. Lin Shu looked up and saw Tang Chen walking in. She was slightly taken aback but then felt very happy. A big smile spreading across her face. She had thought he would go straight to the office after dropping off Cheng Cheng and Nuo Nuo, but she hadn't expected him to come back. Chen. Didn't you go to the company? I'll go later. After you finish eating, I'll take you to the studio before heading to the company. As Tang Chen entered, he saw the young woman sitting at the dining table, eating and smiling at him, which warmed his heart. Lin Shu, worried about delaying his work, quickly waved her hand and said, "You go ahead, I can take the subway there, it's quite convenient. If you run into traffic later, you'll be late. It's fine, I'm the boss anyway, no one's going to dock my pay." Tang Chen smiled and sat down directly opposite Lin Shu. Lin Shu, who was now speeding up in a fluster to finish her meal quickly, accidentally choked while drinking soy milk. Tang Chen nervously stood behind her, patting her back while muttering, "Why are you so careless? I already said there's no rush. What are you in such a hurry for?" Lin Shu's face turned red from coughing, and she lowered her head in embarrassment. Tang Chen drove Lin Shu to the studio. Chen Cece watched as Lin Shu walked in with a radiant expression and couldn't resist teasing, "Sister Xiaoshu, your family's President Tang is personally dropping you off again. TSK. Let me see, your skin really is fair with a rosy glow lately, nourished by love, it's enviable." Lin Shu shot her a playful glare. And the two of them, chatting and laughing, walked arm in arm into the office. Tang Chen also walked into the office beaming with joy, while several people in the secretarial office pulled Secretary Yang aside to whisper, "Sister Yang, the boss has been acting really strange lately. I've seen more smiles from him this month than in all the previous years combined. Isn't that a good thing? Do you all want to endure his low-pressure mood every day? It's great, it's just. What if he suddenly changes back one day, now that we've gotten used to this warm and sunny demeanor? If he reverts to his cold, icy expression, I'm afraid we won't be able to adjust." The young girl speculated with a worried look on her face. "Stop thinking about it and quickly notify all department managers. While the boss is in a good mood, have them bring up all the documents that need signing. The boss will probably leave early again later." The young girl silently gave a thumbs up and hurried off to get to work. Tang Chen was in a cheerful mood, and his work efficiency improved as well. He finished a week's worth of tasks in just one morning. Li Cheng, holding a stack of signed documents, thought it was truly wonderful that the boss's wife had returned. Not only did the boss seek him out less often, but he also no longer had to face a stern-faced boss every day, constantly on edge. He also reminded Tang Chen about the dinner banquet hosted by Mr. Zhong from the construction group that evening. They were currently discussing a project, and the other party had specifically invited him to join for dinner. Is Qin Hao not available? Tang Chen wasn't too keen on going. Li Cheng looked troubled. The other party specifically requested you. President Qin also has an appointment with Shurenfa tonight and can't get away. Tang Chen lowered his head, thought for a moment, then nodded. "All right, I'll go over tonight. No need to arrange a driver, I'll drive myself. Send me the address." "Okay, President Tang, I'll take my leave then." Li Cheng finally breathed a sigh of relief, hugged the documents, and turned to leave the office. At noon, Tang Chen was having lunch in his office, as usual. His lunch was takeout ordered by the secretarial office, from the place he often ate at and had grown accustomed to. Tang Chen took out his phone, intending to call Lin Shu. But just then, she called him first. He immediately pressed the green button. "Darling." Lin Shu didn't expect the call to connect so quickly. "Chen, are you having lunch?" I'm eating. They ordered takeout. Is the takeout good?" "Just so, not as good as my wife's cooking." Tang Chen's low voice came from the other end of the phone, like the sunlight outside the window, warming the heart. "You're always so glib," Lin Shu said with a coquettish tone. "Really? My wife's cooking is the best. Have you tried it? I've already eaten. Today, I went out with Cece and Xiaowei to have clay pot rice. The flavor was pretty good. I'll take you there next time. Fine. Tang Chen chatted casually with Lin Shu while eating, and before they knew it, they had been talking for almost an hour. Alright. Let's stop here. After you finish eating, take a rest for a while. Don't overwork yourself. You too. I won't be able to pick you up tonight. I have a business dinner. I'll eat out before heading back. Okay, don't drink too much. Bye. Yeah, bye. After hanging up the phone, Lin Shu still held her phone with a slight smile. Even though they had just parted in the morning, she couldn't resist calling him at noon, wanting to hear his voice. Chen must feel the same way. In reality, neither of them had anything important to discuss. It was just a very mundane conversation. Yet they both cherished it, before they knew it. They had talked for an hour. Tang Chen drove himself to the hotel address sent by Li Cheng. When he pushed open the private room door and saw the person inside, he was momentarily stunned but quickly regained his composure. Inside, Mr. Zhong and the others stood up to greet him as he entered. Each one of them was a seasoned fox in the business world, exchanging polite pleasantries and flattering Tang Chen with all sorts of compliments, treating him like a revered figure. That woman also stepped forward, appearing delicate and fragile, and softly called out, "Chen." Tang Chen frowned slightly, not even glancing at her. The perceptive Mr. Zhong, sensing the awkward atmosphere, laughed heartily and called for a waiter to bring a glass and pour some wine. Everyone ushered him to the seat of honor and invited him to sit. "Oh my, President Tang, you're really too kind. I had to ask Assistant Li several times before finally getting an appointment with you. Come, let me finish this glass first as a sign of respect. Please feel free to drink at your own pace." President Zhong, with his beer belly protruding, raised his glass with a grin and downed it in one go, for the first toast, and in such a setting, Tang Chen also picked up his glass and drank it in one gulp. President Zhong understood that this was a gesture of respect toward him, so he didn't push for more drinks afterward and instead enthusiastically drank with the others. Tang Chen sat there with a cold expression, and everyone was used to it, consciously avoiding provoking this king of hell. His presence alone was already a sign of respect, and no one dared to urge him to drink. The private room was bustling with energy, with some people standing and others sitting. Tang Chen sat there, wanting to take out his phone to send a WeChat message to Lin Shu. He felt someone sit down in the empty seat next to him, glanced sideways slightly, and frowned gently. If he had known Wen Qing was here, he definitely wouldn't have come, no matter who was treating. "Chen, does it have to be like this? Can't we even be friends?" Chapter 114. My wife is here to pick me up. Her soft voice carried a sorrowful tone, creating an atmosphere of melancholy that stood in stark contrast to the lively surroundings. Wen Qing's eyes were filled with endless sorrow, making her appear pitiable and touching. Tang Chen's gaze was as cold as the moonlight, his face wooden and expressionless, not even turning to look at her. "No, I'm afraid my wife would be unhappy." A simple sentence sent Wen Qing into despair. She bit her lip. On the verge of tears, Tang Chen didn't want to continue the entanglement with her, so he picked up his phone and sent a WeChat message to Lin Shu. "Darling, I've been drinking. They forced me to." Lin Shu had just finished washing the dishes, and the two children were playing with toys in the room. She picked up her phone and replied immediately upon seeing the message. "How are you? Is the driver with you?" She knew he usually drove himself and rarely brought a driver along. "No." "Then how will you get back later?" "I don't know. They keep toasting." "Honey, I feel terrible." Tang Chen deliberately pretended to be pitiful. Haha, trying to get him drunk. If Tang Chen wasn't willing, probably no one in the entire Jiangcheng would dare. Lin Shu didn't quite understand the matters of his business world and was a bit worried. In the end, she decided to go pick him up. "I'll ask Cece to come over and help look after Cheng Cheng and Nuo Nuo. I'll come pick you up later. You're so sweet. Honey, no rush. Take your time." The triumphant man's expression finally softened, no longer as icy as before. Although those shrewd people around were each doing their own thing, they were all closely watching the movements of this formidable figure. After Wen Qing approached, they noticed that the icy aura surrounding him seemed to gradually fade away, although he still wore a stern expression and remained silent. The subtle change at the corners of his mouth was unmistakably clear to the observant. Everyone assumed that President Tang's demeanor had shifted because of Wen Qing's presence. A few bold individuals raised their glasses and gathered around him. "President Tang, it's truly rare to have you here today. I'd like to propose a toast to you." Tang Chen lifted his eyelids slightly, staring at the person offering the toast without saying a word. He had just told his wife that he was being pressured to drink, but in reality, he had only had one glass since arriving. So, the person offering the toast thought their actions might have crossed a line, and the scene frightened Mr. Zhong, who had invited Tang Chen, into stepping in to smooth things over, who had dared to provoke this man. Unexpectedly, Tang Chen suddenly picked up the wine glass on the table, filled to the brim, and downed it in one go. "You're too kind." Everyone quickly caught on. And those who had been eager earlier now felt as if they had been granted immunity. They all rushed over, lining up to offer their toasts. Tang Chen never refused anyone, whoever came. He would raise his head and down the drink in one go, giving these people the chance to get close. These old foxes could all tell that today, this gentleman was giving face and drinking openly, so how could they let such an opportunity slip by? However, no matter how many people took turns approaching him, Tang Chen remained unfazed, and no one could tell whether he was drunk or not. Wen Qing had long been pushed to the side by the crowd, her face pale as she bit her lip tightly. Just now, when she stood up, she accidentally caught a glimpse of Tang Chen's unclosed WeChat chat page. She saw his chat history with a contact saved as wife, and she knew it was Lin Shu. Her dark, deep eyes gazed at Tang Chen, filled with a myriad of emotions, tenderness, grievance, and shock, all swirling together like a heart-wrenching plea, as if they could shatter one's heart. When Qing's eyes were filled with pain, she never imagined they had grown so close. 4 years ago, he hadn't cared about her at all. She knew their 3-year marriage had been nothing but a contract. So why, now that Lin Shu was back, had everything changed? Had Chen truly fallen in love with Lin Shu? Back then, even at the peak of their affection, he had never spoken to her in such a tone, let alone deliberately drunk so much just to make her go to him. These people really think he's giving them face. If it weren't for Lin Shu, after the first drink tonight, he probably wouldn't have picked up the glass again. When Qing saw a different Tang Chen, Mr. Zhong from the construction group, seeing how willingly Tang Chen was drinking tonight, shrewdly assumed it was because he had brought Wen Qing along. At that moment, he pulled Wen Qing over to Tang Chen. "President Tang, this is Miss Wen. You two are quite familiar." Haha, Mr. Zhong wore an expression that said everyone gets it, as his eyes swept back and forth between the two of them. Tang Chen looked at the person pulled before him, the slight softness in his expression completely gone. Once again the cold, stern, and impassive President Tang. The earlier trace of amusement in his eyes was now replaced by a frosty chill. His dark eyes stared directly at Wen Qing, his gaze inscrutable. Wen Qing stood there, and neither of them spoke. Even though Mr. Zhong had been drinking, he could sense that something was off. Tonight's dinner was something Wen Qing had proactively contacted him about, saying she wanted to come along. She had actively offered him a resource, all because she had received word that he had invited Tang Chen. He knew about the gossip between the two of them from before. In this circle, things are a mix of truth and lies, but there was definitely something going on between them. Lately, he hadn't seen any new faces around President Tang. So he figured the two of them must have had a falling out. Since he could get a project for free and maybe even win some favor with President Tang, he agreed to Wen Qing's request. If he hadn't judged that there was something between them, even if he were offered 10 projects for free, he wouldn't have dared to agree. What's going on now? Could it be that he misjudged the situation? "Oh no, Chen, long time no see," Wen Qing said, taking the initiative to speak. Tang Chen didn't speak. Seeing this, Mr. Zhong quickly filled his glass, shouting "Drink, drink," in an attempt to separate the two. "No, Mr. Zhong, my wife is very strict. She's coming to pick me up soon, and I can't explain myself if I drink too much." Tang Chen didn't answer Wen Qing, nor did he continue to glare at her coldly. Instead, he turned around and gave Mr. Zhong a forced smile. Lin Shu had already messaged him saying she was almost there. Mr. Zhong froze mid-action, holding the glass, his mouth half open as if he had forgotten to close it. Wife, President Tang, when did you get married?" There wasn't even a hint of news. President Zhong couldn't help but inquire. Tang Chen rarely explained himself to others. You will definitely be invited to the wedding. I must take my leave for now. Regarding the project, please contact Li Cheng directly. Of course. Let me see you out. Tang Chen didn't say another word and strode out of the room, with everyone in the private booth following behind to see him off. Wen Qing also followed the crowd and walked out. As Lin Shu drove up to the hotel entrance, she saw Tang Chen already waiting outside for her. The moment she stopped the car, Tang Chen opened the door and got into the passenger seat himself. So Lin Shu didn't even have to step out of the car, however. The group of people following him outwardly claimed to be seeing Tang Chen off, but secretly, they were all there to catch a glimpse of who Mrs. Tang was. All they could see was a petite figure sitting in the driver's seat, vaguely exuding a fresh and refined aura. Before they could get a clear look at her face, the car drove away. Everyone returned with a sense of regret. This was big news. The great president of JK Group, Tang Chen, was married. Wen Qing stood at the edge of the crowd and saw that it was Lin Shu who had come to pick up Chen. He called her wife, a title she had once strived so hard to earn. Chapter 115, WeChat. Phone. His current actions undoubtedly announced to the outside world that Tang Chen is married, and from now on, he has nothing to do with her. Wen Qing, right now, he is ruthlessly slapping her in the face, one slap after another. At this moment, she stood in the crowd, completely ignored by everyone. After getting into the car, Tang Chen fastened his seatbelt and then leaned back, closing his eyes. Lin Shu asked with some concern, Chen, are you okay? Tang Chen opened his eyes and said in a coquettish tone, Honey, I'm not feeling well, let's go home. Lin Shu didn't delay any longer and drove off immediately. After driving to Shijiang Garden and parking the car, Chen, can you walk on your own? If he couldn't walk by himself, she might need to call Cece down to help. As it would be difficult for her to support him alone, Tang Chen held onto Lin Shu's arm as he got out of the car, leaning against the vehicle and nodding slightly. His face was flushed, and he reeked heavily of alcohol. It seemed the effects of the drink were kicking in now. He was truly drunk. He straightened up, wanting to walk on his own, but stumbled and nearly fell. Lin Shu quickly steadied him, and he wrapped his arm around her. The two took the elevator upstairs. And Chen Cece opened the door. Lin Shu helped Tang Chen sit down on the sofa first. Sister Xiaoshu, Cheng, and Wonuo are asleep. I think I'll head back now. Chen Cece felt that with President Tang here, it would be a bit awkward if she stayed over. Don't go, it's so late, just stay in your room. It's still reserved for you. I'll help Chen back to his room. As she spoke, she helped Tang Chen up from the sofa. Chen, let's go back to the room first. Chen Cece noticed that Tang Chen hadn't said a word since he entered. The drunk President Tang was really quite different. He obediently followed Sister Shushu's directions and arrangements. Chen Cece stared blankly at the scene before her, unable to hold back her repeated exclamations of surprise. After the two returned to the room, Tang Chen sat on the edge of the bed. Chen, can you take a shower by yourself? Wife, hug. Tang Chen, ignoring the question, pulled Lin Shu to sit on his lap and held her comfortably. Lin Shu hadn't expected that the drunk man would become as childish as a little kid. Knowing he had drunk too much, she simply stopped talking and let him hold her. The quiet night made for a warm moment, but before long, Lin Shu felt something was off. Tang Chen was actually rubbing her waist, and his hands seemed to be moving upward. Lin Shu's face flushed instantly, especially when she heard Chen Cece outside, who had just finished her shower, opening and closing the door, making her even more embarrassed. Chen, go take a shower first. Lin Shu grabbed the hands that had already reached her softness, stopping his movements. Let me hug you before washing. Lin Shu now suspects that someone might be pretending to be drunk. Who acts like this? Cece is here, not today. Lin Shu decisively grabbed his hands and held them, not allowing him to move any further. Tang Chen softly hummed in agreement. Stopping his wandering hands, Lin Shu heard that the living room had quieted down. Cece must have finished her bath and returned to her room. She broke free from his arm, stood up, and fetched his pajamas for him. Go take a bath first. Tang Chen obediently took the pajamas, left the room, and headed to the bathroom. Lin Shu was tidying the bedding in the room when she noticed Tang Chen's phone lying on the bed. She intended to place it on the bedside table, but as soon as she picked it up, A WeChat message popped up. Chen, thank you for tonight. Lin Shu stood frozen in place, holding the phone. She saw that the message was from Wenqing. So Wenqing was also at the scene tonight. Chen and her. Lin Shu didn't dare to think further and was afraid to face it. Chen clearly said he was having dinner with a client to discuss a project. So why was Wenqing there too, and why did she send him a WeChat message thanking him? Is there something more between them? Since they got back together, neither of them had mentioned Wenqing, as if the divorce that happened because of her had never existed. For such a long time, she had never seen any contact or interaction between them. Chen said he loved her, and she believed him unconditionally. She trusted that he had resolved everything before confessing his love. But now, what did this all mean? Lin Shu bit her lip tightly, her face pale as she placed the phone back where it was. Then she sat dazedly on the edge of the bed. After a while, the sound of the door opening broke the silence. Tang Chen had finished his shower and stepped out. "Honey, dry my hair," Tang Chen said as he walked in with a dry towel. Lin Shu snapped back to reality, stiffly taking the towel from his hand. He sat on the bed while she stood behind him, mechanically drying his hair. Tang Chen had drunk quite a bit and, with his eyes closed, didn't notice anything unusual. Once his hair was almost dry, Lin Shu stopped. Suddenly, Tang Chen turned around, wrapped his arms around her, and buried his head in her chest. "Honey, you smell so good." Then it kept nudging back and forth. Lin Shu didn't know how to face the situation at the moment. She chose to escape. Frantically pushing Tang Chen away, grabbing her pajamas, opening the door, and hiding in the bathroom. After entering the bathroom and closing the door, she hugged her pajamas, leaned against the door, and slowly crouched down. Her mind was a mess, and she didn't know what to do. Should she confront him directly or choose to turn a blind eye? Losing what you once had hurts more than never having it at all, and it's even harder to let go. 4 years ago, she could sign the divorce papers without hesitation and choose to leave. Because Tang Chen had never told her he loved her, she always knew their relationship was just an agreement. But now, he had given her so many fantasies that had come true, real, genuine feelings, and he had even told her he loved her. How could she possibly let go now? Lin Shu couldn't hold back her tears in the bathroom. It wasn't until she heard Chen Cece opening the door and walking out that she quickly wiped her tears, turned on the faucet, and started to wash up. "Is that you taking a shower, Sister Xiaoshu?" "Amham, your clothes are outside the door. I'll hang them on the doorknob for you. Tomorrow morning, I'll take Cheng Cheng and Wonuo to school. You can rest a bit longer. Since Mr. Tang drank too much, you probably didn't sleep well taking care of him tonight." "Okay, thank you. Cece, no need to be so polite. I'm going to sleep first then." After hearing Chen Cece return to her room, Lin Shu took a shower and also went back to her own room. When Lin Shu entered the room, Tang Chen was already lying in bed with his eyes closed, as if asleep, and his phone was placed on his nightstand. Lin Shu didn't bother to check whether he had seen the message Wenqing sent or what they had talked about. She just quietly got into bed from the other side and turned off the light. In the darkness, the man behind her seemed to sense something and automatically moved closer, embracing her from behind, holding her tightly while murmuring, "Honey, let's cuddle and sleep." Lin Shu kept her eyes open and did not respond. That night, Lin Shu barely slept and only dozed off as dawn approached. When she woke up in the morning, her complexion was poor, with heavy dark circles under her eyes, so she applied light makeup to cover them up. When she got up, Chen Cece had already taken Cheng Cheng and Wonuo to school. She didn't wake Tang Chen and went straight to the studio. Chen Cece said when she saw her, "Sister Xiaoshu, why don't you rest a little longer? I couldn't fall back asleep after waking up, so I came over." Lin Shu replied with a faint smile. "Just after sitting down in the office, I received a phone call. Miss Lin, do you have time to come out and chat?" Chapter 116, Meeting. Lin Shu's hand holding the phone tightened slightly. She remained silent, while the other person seemed determined to meet her and continued to wait. "Sorry, it might not be very convenient. I'm at the coffee shop next to your studio." After hanging up the phone, Lin Shu grabbed her bag and walked out. Chen Cece happened to run into her as she was heading out. Seeing that she didn't look quite right, she asked with concern, "Xiaoshu, are you going out? What's wrong?" Lin Shu forced a faint smile. "Yes. I have something to take care of outside." "Then be careful, and call me if anything happens," Chen Cece said with concern. Fine. After leaving the house, Lin Shu went directly to the coffee shop next door. Pushing the door open, she immediately spotted the woman sitting by the floor-to-ceiling window. The woman had her back turned, with long brown curly hair and a black elegant dress, sitting there in a way that made people unable to resist looking back. Lin Shu walked over. "Hello, Miss Wen." Wen Qing raised her eyes. "Hello, Miss Lin. Please have a seat." She then raised her hand to call the waiter. "What would you like to drink, Miss Lin?" "Lemon water, thank you," Lin Shu said to the waiter. Two people sat facing each other. Wen Qing stirred the coffee on the table, while Lin Shu sipped her lemon water. "Miss Wen, what exactly did you invite me out to say?" Lin Shu put down her cup and asked in a low voice. Wen Qing looked at Lin Shu arrogantly. "How does it feel to be back in the position of Mrs. Tang, Miss Wen? What kind of answer do you want to hear?" "I'm very happy, very satisfied." "Are you pleased with that answer? Besides, I don't need to share my joy with you." Lin Shu smiled slightly, gracefully countering the other's remark. When Qing gripped the handle of her coffee cup tightly, her expression unable to conceal her anger. Then, as if switching faces, she put on a proper smile and said, "Last night, thanks to a Chen for helping me fend off the drinks. Otherwise," Lin Shu listened, her face turning pale, her two hands tightly clasped together under the table. When Qing looked at her and smiled triumphantly, deliberately saying, "Chen is really something. He barely ate anything and drank so much directly. He's going to feel unwell again later. It must have been hard for you to take care of Chen after he got back yesterday." Lin Shu's mind was filled with the thought that Tang Chen got drunk yesterday to help Wen Qing avoid drinking. Did he go there because he knew she was there, so it wasn't that others forced him to drink, it was to help Wen Qing. That's why Wen Qing sent him a thank you message yesterday. "We are husband and wife. Taking care of him is only natural." Lin Shu's face showed no extra expression as she spoke coldly. Wen Qing wasn't annoyed either. After all, her goal had been achieved. She picked up the coffee in front of her and took an elegant sip. "Did you ask me out just to say this?" "Of course not. I heard you two got back together and came specifically to congratulate you. I hope you can hold on to him tightly this time." After saying this, when Qing picked up her bag and turned to leave, Lin Shu sat alone in her seat in a daze until noon. Chen Cece, noticing she hadn't returned, called her. "Xiao Shu, are you okay over there? Do you want to come back and have lunch together?" "Cece, I might not go to the studio today. I have some other things to take care of." "It's okay, go ahead and do what you need to." "Are you all right?" Chen Cece noticed that her voice sounded off, and she hadn't looked well when she left in the morning. "I'm fine, don't worry, I'll come by tomorrow morning." Lin Shu forced herself to sound cheerful, not wanting Chen Cece to detect anything unusual. "Okay." After hanging up the phone, Lin Shu picked up her bag and walked out of the cafe. She wandered aimlessly down the street, unsure of where to go. She took out her phone, wanting to call Tang Chen and confront him, but it seemed she didn't have the courage. In the meantime, Tang Chen had called her, but she didn't answer. Later, he sent a WeChat message. "Honey, why aren't you answering the phone? Did you leave so early this morning? Why didn't you wake me up? I didn't even get a good morning kiss." "Honey, I'm heading to the office. I'll pick you up tonight." "Honey, the lunch wasn't good. I still prefer the food you cook." "Wife, I have a headache and don't want to go to work." Lin Shu felt even more upset as she read each message. The last message from Tang Chen said, "Wife, why aren't you replying? I'll skip work and come find you now." Lin Shu walked along the street, staring at her phone screen. Finally, she let out a heavy sigh and sent a reply. "I have something to do outside today. I'm not at the studio. Don't come to pick me up, I'll be back early, so I'll go pick up Cheng Cheng and Wonuo." On the other end, Tang Chen immediately replied, "All right then." Lin Shu put her phone back in her bag and walked along the main road. She reached the city center square, found an empty bench to rest on, and sat down. On the square, someone was performing street dance. Surrounded by a crowd of onlookers, many parents were playing with their children, and quite a few people were playing with bubble machines. Nearby, by the fountain, some were splashing around and having fun. Amid such a beautiful and lively scene, Lin Shu sat alone on the side, quietly enjoying it. She remained seated on the bench until the crowd slowly dispersed, then got up, took a taxi to the kindergarten, picked up Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo, and returned home. After the two little ones had a quick snack, they went back to their room to play with building blocks and Legos. Lin Shu also went back to her room, feeling very tired. She lay down on the bed intending to rest for a while but ended up falling asleep. When she woke up, she realized it was almost dark outside and hurriedly got out of bed, remembering she had forgotten to cook dinner. Just as she stepped out of her room, Tang Chen happened to open the door and come in. "Wife, I'm back." Tang Chen put down his briefcase and wanted to come over for a hug. Lin Shu subtly avoided him, turned her head away, and deliberately made an excuse. "I overslept and forgot to cook. Let me go cook the rice first." Tang Chen followed her and walked into the kitchen together. "Darling, don't cook anymore. Let's order takeout or eat out." Lin Shu paused, the rice cooker still in her hands. She wasn't in the mood to cook either, so she awkwardly put it down. "All right, order takeout for Cheng Cheng and Wo Nuo. I don't want to eat, and I don't feel like going out either." Lin Shu finished speaking and was about to return to her room. Tang Chen could clearly sense that something was off with her mood at this moment. "Did anything happen today?" "Nothing. Maybe I didn't sleep well last night. I'm a bit tired." Lin Shu hadn't figured out how to confront him about last night's events. Was he being genuine now, or was he just acting? She felt so exhausted. "Then you go back to your room and rest for a while. I'll order takeout, and I'll call you later." Lin Shu nodded gently and entered the room without looking back. Tang Chen watched her retreating figure as she entered the room, feeling a faint sense of unease. He called Yuan restaurant and ordered several dishes according to Lin Shu and the two children's tastes, asking them to deliver the food as soon as possible. Then he went to the children's room to check on the two little ones. Finally, he opened the bedroom door and saw Lin Shu curled up on the bed, looking small and fragile. He walked over gently and called out softly, "Honey." Chapter 117. Clearing up the misunderstanding, Lin Shu was actually lying in bed with no intention of sleeping at all. She just didn't know how to face Tang Chen, so she made an excuse to hide in the room. Now that Tang Chen had followed her in, she closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep. Tang Chen walked to the other side and sat down, quietly watching the young woman in front of him. He knew she was unhappy, but he didn't understand why, and it had been going on since morning. Throughout the day, she had barely paid him any attention. Everything was fine last night. What happened? Lin Shu closed her eyes and pretended to be asleep. When she didn't hear any sound, she thought Tang Chen had already left. The moment she opened her eyes, she was caught off guard and immediately met his gaze. Tang Chen immediately saw the woman's red-rimmed eyes. He panicked at once, hurriedly knelt on the bed, and grabbed Lin Shu's hand. "Honey, what's wrong? Why are you crying?" Lin Shu hadn't really intended for Tang Chen to see her vulnerability, which was why she had hidden in the room and under the covers, but after being discovered and facing his urgent concern and questions, she felt even more upset, and tears kept streaming down uncontrollably. "Darling, what's wrong? Who upset you?" Tang Chen asked, wiping her tears with a pained heart while feeling angry about who had upset his precious. Lin Shu didn't want to cry, but she just couldn't help it. She cried so hard that she could barely catch her breath. Tang Chen watched anxiously from the side, but she wouldn't say a word. All he could do was hold her and comfort her. After crying for a while, Lin Shu finally began to calm down as she let out her emotions. It was only then that she realized their position was a bit awkward. Tang Chen was holding her in his arms, gently patting her back and softly comforting her as if he were soothing a child. Lin Shu struggled to get up, but Tang Chen held her tightly, not letting her go. "Honey, can you tell me now why you were crying?" Lin Shu's heart was aching, and she pursed her lips without speaking. Yet, as she thought of Wen Qing's words from the day, it felt as if something was poking at her heart from time to time. Tang Chen held her patiently, waiting for her response. Finally, he heard the little woman in his arms whisper softly, "Wen Qing came to see me today." "Wen Qing? What did she say to you?" Tang Chen's voice turned cold and heavy upon hearing that name. Lin Shu broke free from his grasp, unwilling to speak, but was tightly held by Tang Chen, not allowing her to leave. "What exactly did she say to you? Even if you're going to sentence me to death, you should at least give me a chance to appeal." "Honey, this isn't fair to me." Tang Chen lowered his stance, softened his voice, and quietly expressed his plea. Lin Shu lowered her head, avoiding his gaze, and said, "She said thank you, thank you." Tang Chen was somewhat baffled. Last night, he had also received Wen Qing's message thanking him. At the time, he was feeling extremely dizzy and found it abrupt and confusing. Why was she thanking him? He placed his phone on the bedside table, ignored her, and went to sleep. Did she specifically ask Lin Shu out today just to say thank you? Is there something wrong with her head? Seeing Tang Chen remain silent, Lin Shu thought he was too guilty to speak. She let out a bitter laugh. She didn't want to believe it either, but the evidence was right in front of her. What else could she do? You go ahead, I want to be alone for a while. Tang Chen snapped back to reality and hurriedly explained. Honey, what exactly did she say? Tang Chen had been forcing Lin Shu to look into his eyes. His gaze was fixed on her with a mix of heartache and reluctance. After a long silence, Lin Shu finally said, she said thank you for drinking on her behalf. When did I ever drink for her? Tang Chen blurted out. Lin Shu was also confused by his reaction, with tears still on her face and reddened eyes. She stared blankly at the man in front of her. He didn't seem to be lying. It's just, when Qing said you drank too much last night because you were drinking for her, I accidentally saw her WeChat message thanking you yesterday, and today she asked me out and specifically mentioned this. Lin Shu finally finished speaking in one breath. Tang Chen felt extremely wronged after hearing this inexplicable story. In an instant, he thought of Wen Qing, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. He never expected that after all these years, she had developed such skills. Honey, I had no idea she was there last night. If I had known, I definitely wouldn't have gone. Lin Shu stared at him with some confusion. Tang Chen raised his hand and said, I swear, it's true. How could I possibly drink on her behalf, otherwise? I'll call President Zhong over to confront me. If I'm lying, I'll. Before Tang Chen could finish his sentence, Lin Shu rushed over, covering his mouth, and said, Don't say it, I believe you. Tang Chen took the opportunity to hold her hand, planting kisses one by one in her palm. Wife, is this why you're unhappy today? Lin Shu nodded a bit sheepishly. Yes, I'm afraid it'll be like 4 years ago, and we'll still end up getting divorced. Tang Chen sighed softly, holding her tightly in his arms. His chin resting on Lin Shu's head. Wife, I love you, and only you. There won't be anyone else. In the future, if anything's on your mind, just ask me directly, okay? Don't keep it bottled up inside, okay? This time, Lin Shu nodded seriously in response to Tang Chen. To avoid such misunderstandings in the future, Tang Chen sat Lin Shu down, making the two face each other and look into each other's eyes. He earnestly made an agreement with her, saying they should establish 3 rules. From now on, the two must trust each other and not be influenced by others. In the past, they hadn't learned how. But now they must learn together how to manage their marriage. Both should treat each other with sincerity, address problems when they arise, and grow and progress together. If something feels uncomfortable, say it directly, no arbitrarily giving the cold shoulder or ignoring each other. Communication is what makes a relationship more harmonious and intimate. If something happens, give the other person a chance to explain. Lin Shu couldn't help but laugh as she listened to Tang Chen's endless stream of reasoning. In this marriage, they had both learned to grow. After finishing his speech, Tang Chen made sure to add that under no circumstances should the word divorce ever be mentioned. So domineering, I am domineering. And you better not even think about leaving me again. The two were being all lovey-dovey when the phone rang. The food delivery had arrived. Tang Chen went to open the door and get the takeout, while Lin Shu went to the room to call the 2 little ones to wash their hands and have dinner. The dishes from Yu Garden were actually quite delicious. Tang Chen had ordered braised pork, vermicelli with shrimp, mushroom soup, stir-fried lotus root, and roast duck. The roast duck, in particular, was very famous. The takeout packaging was very exquisite, and the soup was completely intact, not a single drop spilled. The family sat happily together in the dining room, enjoying their dinner. Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo had a particular fondness for roast duck and had already eaten quite a lot. Lin Shu couldn't help but stop them, saying, You shouldn't eat so much at night, it's hard to digest, but it's really delicious, Mom. Lin Yunuo said coquettishly, sneaking another piece of braised pork into her mouth when no one was looking. Tang Chen smiled dotingly, We'll sleep a bit later to let the food digest. Lin Shu shot him a playful glare. This guy always plays the good cop. Your mom's cooking is still the best, he added, picking up on his wife's cue and trying to please her. After dinner, Lin Shu took the 2 little ones into the room for their bath. Tang Chen walked towards the balcony with a gloomy expression, took out his phone, and dialed that person's number. Chapter 118. Blocked. The call was quickly answered, and Wen Qing's excited and urgent voice came from the other end. Chen. Wen Qing, it seems that in these past few years, you haven't learned much else, but your tactics have certainly improved. Why did you go to Lin Shu and tell her things that never happened? Wen Qing smiled softly. Chen, what did I say? I just happened to be passing by. A friend wants to have a dress custom made. So I went to ask. This is the last time I will call you. Please do not contact me again in the future. It's not appropriate, and please do not disturb my wife. No, Chen. Let's go back to how we used to be. Okay, before, we were happy too. Happy. Did you ever see me smile when we were together? Wen Qing stood frozen in place, holding her phone. Tang Chen coldly finished speaking and hung up the phone, then blocked her on WeChat and her phone number. After putting the two children to sleep, Lin Shu walked out and saw Tang Chen standing on the balcony. She went over and said, Chen, come inside, it's windy tonight. Tang Chen turned around as if he had changed his expression. The cold aura he had while on the phone earlier instantly vanished, replaced by a smiling face as he walked into the room. He wrapped his arms around Lin Shu from behind, resting his chin on the top of her head. It was only now that Lin Shu realized how clingy this person could be. What's wrong? It's okay, I just called Wen Qing. Lin Shu was slightly taken aback when she heard him say he had called Wen Qing. Tang Chen felt the stiffness in the person in his arms and quickly explained, I told her not to bother us anymore and blocked her. Honey, you should block her too and don't answer her calls from now on. Lin Shu didn't expect that his call to Wen Qing was for this reason. It would be a lie to say she wasn't moved. In the past, she had always been insecure, lacking confidence and a sense of security. Now, he proved his love for her with his actions, giving her confidence and a sense of security, letting her know that he truly loves her. Chen, thank you, honey, I wouldn't mind if you thanked me in another way. After saying this, he held Lin Shu tightly against himself with a mischievous grin. Lin Shu could feel a certain part of him stirring, and her face instantly flushed bright red. Taking advantage of Tang Chen's momentary distraction, she quickly broke free from his embrace and hurried away. I'm going to take a shower first. Tang Chen watched her retreating figure, a wide smile spreading across his lips. His wife was so adorable. Even after all this time, she still blushed so easily. When Wen Qing received Tang Chen's call, she was so excited that she immediately pressed the green button. She never expected that Tang Chen would find out about her visit to Lin Shu. She thought Lin Shu's personality would only lead her to speculate and doubt on her own, and she would never confront Tang Chen about it. She never imagined that the two of them were so close now. Chen would personally call to warn her because of this matter, and even blocked her on WeChat and her phone number. Wen Qing cried while holding her phone, dialing the number over and over again, but it could no longer connect. She could no longer send messages on WeChat either. Several empty bottles lay at her feet, and she picked up another one and drank directly from it. She couldn't accept it. Why? It's all because of Lin Shu. It's all because of her that Chen treats me this way. At this thought, a trace of ruthlessness flickered in her eyes. She fell for Tang Chen at first sight when she first saw him in college. Back then, Tang Chen was very low-key, spoke little, and was quite reserved. She took the initiative to follow him around, asking about his whereabouts and class schedule, always appearing in front of him intentionally or unintentionally, and shamelessly asked for his phone number. To put it bluntly, it was only through her relentless pursuit that she managed to win him over. After they got together, Tang Chen almost never took the initiative. All their dates were arranged by her. He only needed to show up. He now tells himself that he wasn't happy at all during those days. Hehe, there is a bottle of wine finished. She didn't want to go to Paris either, but her godfather had a task for her. She grew up in an orphanage. And then suddenly someone appeared to adopt her, prepared a beautiful house for her, arranged for a housekeeper, sent her to dance classes, and gave her endless money. The person who adopted her never showed up until she was 10 years old. When she met him for the first time, he said he would be her godfather from then on. It wasn't until she was in college that she gradually learned what her godfather did. But she had no choice. It was all fate, predetermined from the moment she was born. But she was still unwilling to give up. She had no choice in her background, and her feelings for Tang Chen were genuine, so she couldn't bear to just let go. In the room, after exercising, the two lay in bed holding each other. Lin Shu was in tears, having been thoroughly taken advantage of by someone again. She only felt exhausted. completely drained of energy, and had no desire to move. Really can't come again tomorrow. Lin Shu raised her small fist and gently tapped it on someone's chest. Though to that person, it felt more like a tickle. Just this once, I really tried to control myself, but there's no helping it. Who made my wife so irresistible? I just can't help myself when I see you. Tang Yichen shamelessly said these words, leaving Lin Shu at a loss for how to respond. He then turned her back to him. All right, whatever my wife says goes. Boss Tang, who had gained an advantage and was still acting innocent, smiled as he held his wife and went to sleep. The next morning, the two woke up in almost the same sleeping positions as the night before. Lin Shu was a bit annoyed. She had clearly been facing away from him before falling asleep, but by morning, they were wrapped in each other's arms. Tang Yichen was still holding Lin Shu tightly from behind, and Lin Shu nestled in Tang Yichen's embrace, her small hand firmly grasped by his large one. When Lin Shu opened her eyes, she saw that Tang Yichen was already awake. His bright black eyes fixed intently on her. When did you wake up? I've been awake for a while. Let me get up. I need to make breakfast for Cheng Cheng and the others. It's still early. Sleep a little longer. Lin Shu was pulled by him, and the two lingered in bed for a while longer before getting up. After breakfast, the family of four went out together. Tang Yichen still dropped Lin Shu off at the studio before heading to the company himself, after they remarried. Lin Shu once asked her if she minded that she was so busy with work every day, spending less time with Cheng Cheng and Wonuo. He said as long as she likes it, it's fine. Tang Yichen never thought of asking Lin Shu to give up the career she loves, and he himself happily picks up and drops off his wife from work every day. He even joked at the time, saying that one day, if the JK Group went bankrupt and he became penniless, he would have to rely on his wife to support him. Lin Shu, of course, knew he said it to reassure her so she could focus on what she loves. How could he possibly become so poor that he would need her support? But Lin Shu was happy inside. In the past, she might have pursued fashion design mostly for the money, but now it was more for her dreams. As long as he understood her, that was enough. Chapter 119, Going to his company. Tang Yichen was in the middle of a company meeting when his phone, placed nearby, rang. He glanced at it and immediately raised his hand to pause the meeting. Let's take a 10-minute break and resume afterward. He then picked up his phone and walked out of the conference room. The executives left behind exchanged bewildered looks. It was well known that not only would Tang never intentionally pause a meeting to take a call, but in the past, anyone whose phone wasn't on silent during his meetings would be immediately dismissed. Tang himself was famously a workaholic and would never interrupt a meeting for any reason. At this moment, a few senior executives with longer tenure, who often interacted with Li Cheng, noticed he was still in the conference room and went up to him to inquire about the news. Assistant Li, who is calling President Tang. Li Cheng, who had just been sitting next to Tang Yichen, accidentally caught a glimpse of the caller's name, wife. Only a call from the wife could make the boss interrupt such an important meeting. Seeing that he didn't speak, the others refused to give up and continued to press for more information. Yeah, Assistant Li, the boss has been handling fewer matters at the company lately. Li Cheng's mouth twitched slightly. So everyone had noticed that the boss was arriving late and leaving early. Besides our boss's wife, who else has the ability to make Mr. Tang make an exception? Li Cheng casually dropped a bombshell before getting up and heading to the break room, leaving behind a crowd of stunned onlookers. President Tang actually got married. I really didn't expect that. No wonder he's been looking unusually amiable lately. It seems joy puts heart into a man. Everyone was discussing with one voice. Clearly shocked by the news, Tang Yichen took his phone and returned to his office. Darling, Yichen, are you busy? No, what's up? No matter how big the matter is, the wife comes first, so Tang Yichen said he wasn't busy with a clear conscience. Did something happen? Tang Yichen sensed that Lin Shu was hesitating and became worried that something might be wrong, his tone unconsciously growing urgent. It's nothing, it's just, I was looking at fabrics outside today. And I happened to be near your company. I wanted to ask if you'd like to have lunch together. Tang Yichen breathed a sigh of relief, then was immediately enveloped in immense joy. This was the first time Lin Shu had taken the initiative to call and ask him out for a meal. Of course, he automatically overlooked the fact that she mentioned being in the area and just happened to invite him for lunch. Sure, honey, are you coming over now? I'll have someone come down to pick you up. I have a meeting later. I'll head over after I finish looking at things here, probably in about half an hour. Okay, I'll have Secretary Yang come down to pick you up. Wait for me in my office when you arrive. After hanging up the phone, Tang Chen returned to the conference room to continue the meeting. As he passed by the secretary's office, he called out to Secretary Yang, "Secretary Yang, you don't need to order takeout for me at noon. My wife will be here in about half an hour. Please go down to pick her up and have her wait for me in my office." After saying this, he went straight into the conference room, leaving Secretary Yang standing there alone. Was that really their CEO Tang who had just spoken to her? He was smiling like a blooming flower. Was she seeing things otherwise? How could such a shocking thing happen? President Tang said his wife is coming. So, President Tang is married. Oh my God. Such big news. The boss's wife is coming to the company. The other few girls in the office were even more exaggerated than Secretary Yang, as if petrified, and it took them a long time to snap out of it. Sister Yang, just now, that was our President Tang, right? Do we have a boss's wife now? Yes, you will see her soon. Secretary Yang snapped back to reality and quickly called the front desk, instructing the girl to notify her if anyone came looking for President Tang. Lin Shu wandered around the fabric market for a while longer before taking a taxi to the JK Group headquarters building. After entering, the receptionist greeted her very professionally and asked who she was there to see. "I'm looking for Tang Chen." Upon hearing this, the receptionist immediately invited her to take a seat on the sofa and then picked up the phone to notify the upstairs. Sister Yang had just said it was a very important person and must be notified immediately. The receptionist didn't dare to delay, hearing that it was someone looking for Mr. Tang, and it was a woman. Both the timing and the person matched, so she quickly notified Sister Yang, "Ms. Yang, the lady looking for President Tang has arrived downstairs." "Okay, I'll be right down." Secretary Yang immediately went downstairs after receiving the call. As she stepped out of the elevator, she saw a young woman dressed in a sportswear set sitting quietly on the sofa from a distance. Is this President Tang's wife? She looks so young, almost like a college student. Lin Shu had planned to visit the fabric market early in the morning, so she wore sneakers and sportswear for convenience without giving it much thought. Now, sitting in the lobby and seeing everyone dressed as professional career women, she felt a bit awkward. She thought to herself, "I should have just arranged to meet Tang Chen at the store directly." Young's secretary quickly walked over and stopped in front of Lin Shu, still feeling a bit uneasy. She confirmed, "Are you President Tang's wife?" Lin Shu looked up at Young's secretary, feeling a little embarrassed, and nodded with a slight smile. "Yes. President Tang is currently in a meeting and asked me to come down to pick you up. I'll take you to his office first, where you can have a seat. The meeting should be ending soon." "Okay, thank you, you're too kind. This is what I should do." Secretary Yang walked ahead, leading Lin Shu to take the elevator upstairs. She thought to herself, the boss's wife is really so young, and she seems to have such a good temper, so gentle. The two children from earlier must be hers and President Tang's, right? The girl named Nuo really takes after her mother. Lin Shu followed behind her, and together they went up to the top floor. Secretary Yang led her to Tang Chen's office, made some tea, and then closed the door as she left. As soon as she returned to her own office, she was surrounded by a few people who began whispering and discussing. The boss's wife is so young. The boss gives off the vibe of an old man dating a much younger woman. The boss doesn't really look that old, though, so this is the type the boss likes. Such natural obedience that can't even be faked. All right, get back to work quickly, we'll get scolded if we don't. Secretary Yang saw that they actually dared to gossip about the boss and his wife here. It would be terrible if someone accidentally overheard them. "Sister Yang, the boss has been in high spirits lately and is in a good mood. He's not scolding anyone." Haha, Secretary Yang thought about it and realized it was true. Lately, she hadn't heard the boss scolding anyone, all thanks to the boss's wife for saving everyone. The boss isn't scolding anyone, but you all should get back to work now. Or else I'll start scolding, Secretary Yang said deliberately in a fierce tone to everyone. A few young girls stuck out their tongues and scattered back to their seats. Lin Shu sat in Tang Chen's office, curiously looking around. She thought back to the last time she was here. When she came with brother Ayao to ask Chen for help in finding Cheng Cheng and Nuo Nuo, Chapter 120 The Third Wheel, Tang Chen re-entered the meeting room as if he had been injected with adrenaline. Working with remarkable efficiency, the meeting that was originally scheduled to continue in the afternoon was forcefully concluded before 12 p.m. Report the remaining issues to Assistant Lee. Meeting adjourned. After saying these two words, he quickly walked out of the meeting room and headed toward his office. Pushing open the door, he saw Lin Shu standing with her back to him in front of the large floor-to-ceiling window. "Darling." The cheerful tone was so clear that even someone standing outside the door could hear it distinctly. Lin Shu turned around and smiled at Tang Chen. "Is the meeting over?" It's over. Have you been waiting long? You must be hungry. What do you want for lunch?" Tang Chen said as he walked toward her, taking her hand and sitting together on the sofa. "No, I just got here a moment ago. Anything is fine. You decide." "All right, I'll take you to that restaurant you liked last time." "Will it delay your work this afternoon?" Lin Shu knew which restaurant he was talking about. It was a bit of a distance from here. "It's okay, there's nothing going on this afternoon." Looking at Lin Shu's pink lips, he couldn't resist leaning in and capturing them. Finally released, Lin Shu raised her hand and patted his chest. "We're still at the company. What if someone sees us later? Where is anyone? Besides, even if there were, who would dare to look?" Tang Chen took the opportunity to grasp Lin Shu's hand, their fingers interlocking tightly, holding a stack of documents and about to knock on the door. Li Cheng's lips twitched. "Haha, boss, nothing to do. This whole pile of documents needs to be handled today. No one around, as if they don't exist." But he really didn't dare to say it out loud. Although Li Cheng didn't want to interrupt the boss and his wife being affectionate, he still gathered his courage and knocked on the door while holding a pile of documents that required the boss's signature. "Come in." Tang Chen and Lin Shu were holding hands. Only after hearing the response from inside did he push the door open. "Mr. Tang, I've placed the documents that need signing on your desk." Li Cheng quickly walked to the desk, set down the files, and slipped away as soon as possible. "Oh no, disturbing the boss and his wife might cost me my bonus. Woo-woo, next time, I'll just let them handle it themselves." After Li Cheng left, Tang Chen took Lin Shu's hand and stood up. "Honey, let's go, we're going out for a meal." The two walked out of the office hand in hand, fingers interlocked, and made their way to the elevator. The elevator doors opened, and Lu Yang stepped out. "Big brother, sister-in-law, are you going to eat?" Tang Chen gave him a casual glance without saying a word. Is Xiao Wu coming along?" Lin Shu asked. Sure. Lu Yang immediately agreed, afraid that if he delayed even a second, his stern-faced older brother would kick him out. "What are you doing here?" The three of them stepped into the elevator together, and Tang Chen asked Lu Yang with a cold expression. He had finally managed to have his wife come specifically to have lunch with him, and now they had to deal with Xiao Wu being a third wheel. "I came to have lunch with you." "Big brother, isn't this perfect timing?" Lu Yang grinned, completely ignoring Tang Chen's displeasure. Actually, he heard someone downstairs say that Mrs. Tang had arrived. His sister-in-law had actually come. He couldn't help but come up specifically to see. Lately, his eldest brother was often absent, so he hadn't bothered to look for him and had been hanging around with third brother instead. "Go eat by yourself if you want to. It's not that sister-in-law invited me to join her. But it's rare for her to come. I'm really lucky that third brother, fourth brother, and Wanna aren't here, otherwise we could have all gone together." Turning to Lin Shu, he said, "Sister-in-law, next time you come, let's eat together." "Okay." Lin Shu nodded with a smile. Tang Chen's face darkened even more. Being the third wheel alone wasn't enough. Now they wanted to drag everyone else along. There was absolutely no way there would be a next time. Lin Shu smiled and tugged at Tang Chen's arm. This guy really had rejection written all over him. Tang Chen let out a light hum, his expression clearly conveying, "Only for my wife's sake will I let this slide." Then he ignored Lu Yang. When they reached the underground parking garage, the three of them stepped out of the elevator. Lu Yang, trying to be ingratiating, said, "Brother, why don't you ride in my car? Since I'm freeloading a meal, it's only right that I play chauffeur." Tang Chen didn't stand on ceremony and, pulling Lin Shu along, got into Lu Xiaowu's car. "What are you planning to eat? How about I take you somewhere? I'm an expert in this area, Sichuan cuisine, guaranteed to be something sister-in-law will love." "Okay." Lin Shu happily agreed. As she really did enjoy spicy food, Tang Chen pursed his lips and said nothing, which could be considered as agreement. Lu Yang drove out of the underground garage and, along the way, introduced the restaurant they were heading to and its signature dishes to Lin Shu. Lin Shu said with a smile, listening to Xiao Wu's description, "I already feel hungry." When Tang Chen heard his wife was hungry, he immediately instructed the driver in front, "Drive faster. If we keep going at your slow pace, she'll faint from hunger by the time we get there." Lu Yang, "Brother, if this speed is considered slow, then the cars next to us must be turtles." But he didn't dare to say it out loud and silently stepped on the accelerator a little more. The restaurant Lu Yang took them to was located in an alley in the old town. After parking the car, they still had to walk for 2 minutes. The shop was small, with only 7 or 8 tables, not even a private room. The decor was simple but very clean. After the peak hours, there was only one table still eating inside, and as soon as you walked in, you could smell the aroma of the food. The three of them found a table by the window and sat down. The owners were a young couple. The husband was in charge of cooking, while the wife took care of the customers, and they had also hired a waiter. As soon as the three of them sat down, the wife came over with a smile, holding a menu and a plate of sunflower seeds, and asked the waiter to serve tea. "Here is the menu. Please take a look and see what you'd like to order." Lin Shu took it over. It was actually a handwritten menu, with quite beautiful handwriting. Just looking at the dish names made her mouth water a little. After looking for a while, she raised her head and asked Lu Yang, "Xiao Wu, what do you want to eat?" Before Lu Yang could speak, Tang Chen beside her directly said, "Order whatever you want to eat, don't worry about him." "Here." "Yes, sister-in-law, just order whatever you want. Most of their dishes are pretty good." Lu Yang smiled obsequiously, although the big brother was fierce. At least sister-in-law was there. "All right, I'll order then. Don't waste any food later." With that, Lin Shu began to seriously look over the menu. "Finally, we ordered dry braised fish, maok suwang, spicy chicken, mapo tofu, cold tossed lettuce, and also a wild mushroom soup. Maybe it's a bit too much, Chen. Should I get you a non-spicy dish instead?" Lin Shu turned around with the menu and asked Tang Chen, who usually could handle spicy food. But she was worried that today's dishes might be too spicy for him. "No need, I can handle it." Tang Chen didn't used to eat much spicy food, but Lin Shu enjoys it, and even though the two little ones can't handle much, they still like it too, so he's grown to love spicy food as well. Isn't that what it's like to like someone? You can accommodate everything. Chapter 121. Time for some alone time. Since there weren't many people, the food was served quickly. Lin Shu was pleasantly surprised again. It was authentic Sichuan cuisine. She wasn't careful with the first bite and ended up choking a little. Tang Chen hurriedly poured her a glass of water. "Take your time eating. No one's going to snatch it away from you." Lin Shu drank a large glass of water and finally caught her breath. Her face flushed red. The shop owner came over and brought them a pot of sour plum juice. "I forgot to remind you earlier, these are all chili peppers brought from my hometown, spicier than the ones in Jiangcheng. But when it comes to Sichuan cuisine, if it's not spicy, it's not fragrant. The whole point is to enjoy that kick of heat. This sour plum juice is on the house, to help ease the spiciness. I wasn't paying attention earlier. The flavor is really good. Boss, I actually enjoy spicy food too." Lin Shu was more careful when she picked up the food this time. Although all three of them enjoyed and could handle spicy food, they were still sweating from the heat, yet it was incredibly satisfying. "Sis, I didn't lie to you, right? How's the taste?" Lu Yang asked proudly while eating, seeking praise. How did you find this place?" Lin Shu was curious. She had always thought that Tang Chen and the others would never come to a place like this, assuming they only went to high-end restaurants. "I saw recommendations online and came to eat here a few times, and then I just couldn't stop. When it comes to eating, no one is better than you." Tang Chen couldn't help but tease. "Exactly. My taste has been spoiled by my sister-in-law's cooking. I don't even bother with average food." This sentence clearly pleased someone, and then he seriously picked out the fish bones for his wife, ignoring Lu Xiaowu. Lu Yang sat opposite the two. Feeling that he shouldn't have asked his elder brother and sister-in-law to have a meal together, especially since he hadn't even finished eating and was already full of dog food. The three of them finished their meal, and it was already quite late. Lin Shu said she would go straight back to pick up Cheng Cheng and Wonuo from school. Upon hearing this, Tang Chen immediately planned to skip work and go with her. However, Lin Shu, thinking of the stack of documents Li Cheng had placed on his desk at noon, firmly disagreed with him coming along. Finally, Tang Chen very reluctantly got into Lu Yang's car, while Lin Shu took a taxi back by herself, after picking up the two little ones. Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo each came out holding an application form. Lin Yunuo couldn't wait to get home and happily told Lin Shu as soon as she saw her, "Mom, our school is going to a summer camp next week. It'll last for a whole week. And both my brother and I are going." Lin Shu took the registration form from Lin Yunuo and carefully looked it over. The location was a tourist resort on the outskirts of Jiangcheng, and the activities were quite diverse. She thought it might be a good idea to send the two little ones there for some fun. But she also wanted to consult Chen's opinion. "Let's wait for Dad to come home and discuss it together before making a decision." Okay. Lin Shu held the hands of the two children and walked toward home. When Tang Chen came home from work in the evening, he had just stepped through the door when Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo pulled him over to the sofa. "Dad, take a look at this," they said, handing him the summer camp registration form. Tang Chen looked at it seriously and asked, "Cheng Cheng and Wonuo want to go to summer camp?" "Amham." The two nodded vigorously. Tang Chen looked at their eager eyes and said with a smile, "Does Mom know? Does Mom agree?" Lin Yunuo quickly answered her father's question. "Mom said to ask for Dad's opinion. Shall we ask Mom together when we have dinner?" Saying this, he sent the two to wash their hands and went to the kitchen to find his wife. Lin Shu was just ladling the soup. She had heard him come in as soon as the door opened and guessed that the two little ones had dragged him to talk about the summer camp. "Honey, what did you cook? It smells so good." "Made some chicken soup." "Did Cheng Cheng and Wonuo tell you about the summer camp?" Tang Chen washed his hands and helped serve the dishes. Both of them really want to go." "Yes, as soon as they got home from school today, they showed me the registration form. I told them we'd discuss it when you got back. If they want to go, let them. Their school organizes this every year, and most students go. Besides, our two little ones are so independent. They'll be just fine." Lin Shu smiled and turned around. "That's what I was thinking too. Let them go and have some fun. I'll fill out the registration forms tonight and hand them in to the teacher tomorrow." I'll listen to my wife," Tang Chen said obediently, while sneakily giving her a kiss on the cheek. Just then, the two little ones happened to come over and see it. The two little rascals even deliberately covered their eyes with their hands, pretending not to see. Their mischievous antics made Lin Shu blush bright red. Lin Shu wasn't as thick-skinned as him. Blushing with embarrassment, she picked up the bowls and chopsticks and hurried out. On the day Lin Yuqing and Lin Yunuo set off for summer camp, Lin Shu and Tang Chen made a special trip to take them to school together. Thinking that it was the children's first time going out on their own, Lin Shu had been reminding them since the previous evening to listen to the teacher, not to act alone, and telling the older brother to take good care of his younger sister. Both of them had almost memorized her words from all the repetition. "Don't worry, Mom, I'll take good care of my sister," Lin Yuqing said seriously to Lin Shu when they parted. Watching them board the bus together, they were still waving from afar. "All right, honey, it's okay. I've looked at the itinerary, and it's mostly about having fun. Think of it as them going on a trip by themselves." Tang Chen, seeing how reluctant his wife was, quickly comforted her. Lin Shu nodded. She knew the school would arrange everything well, and it wasn't that she was worried about that, it was just that she felt the children had grown up. From the time they were born, they were so tiny, and she had to hold them carefully in her arms, afraid of hurting them. Now, they could actually go out and stay on their own for a week. She really couldn't bear to see them grow up so fast. Going to the studio. "Let me give you a ride." Tang Chen dropped Lin Shu off at the studio before heading back to the company. Chen Cece was away on a business trip, so she wasn't around either. After returning to the studio, Lin Shu buried herself in work. While eating takeout for lunch, Tang Chen called her, and the two chatted affectionately for a while. Since Cheng Cheng and Wonuo weren't home either, Tang Chen suggested they go out for dinner in the evening instead of cooking. Lin Shu thought it was a good idea, as she could stay at the studio a bit longer to finish up her work. She had originally arranged for Tang Chen to pick her up after work, but before she could receive Tang Chen's call, it was Tang Wanna who called instead. "Wanna, sister-in-law." "Woo-woo, Wanna, what's wrong?" where are you? Lin Shu didn't expect to hear Tang Wanna's sobs as soon as she answered the phone. She immediately grew anxious because Wanna had always seemed like a carefree, happy little girl in front of them, never showing such deep sorrow before. I'm at the barbecue stall. Are you alone? Send me your location. I'll head over to find you first. Just one person. Sob. Okay, sister-in-law, listening to her being alone and seemingly having drunk alcohol. Lin Shu was grateful that she at least knew to send her location. Upon receiving the WeChat message with the address, Lin Shu grabbed her bag and hurriedly went out. Chapter 122, Wanna Gets Drunk. Lin Shu took a taxi to the address Tang Wanna had sent, which was a barbecue restaurant on the food street. As soon as she got out of the car, she saw Tang Wanna lying alone at an outdoor table. The table was filled with various dishes, and most importantly, there was a case of beer at her feet. With 5 or 6 bottles already empty, Lin Shu rushed over, sat down on the stool beside her, and gently patted her shoulder. Wanna, what's wrong? Why are you drinking so much all by yourself? Tang Wanna heard Lin Shu's voice and slowly lifted her head. Sister-in-law, you're here. Her eyes were a bit red from crying earlier, and as she looked up now, it was clear she was already drunk. Yes, why are you drinking alone? Lin Shu asked softly. I'm happy. I've been working overtime lately, and today I finally secured the project. He then picked up another bottle of beer, opened it, and poured it into his glass. Sister-in-law, take a look at what you'd like to eat and order for yourself. It's on me today. Lin Shu looked at the large amount of food on the table that had barely been touched and didn't order anything more. She casually picked up a skewer of grilled meat to satisfy her hunger, sitting quietly beside Tang Wanna. She knew that Tang Wanna must have something on her mind. Perhaps she just needed someone to talk to, or maybe she didn't even want to talk, just needed a way to vent. She was still glad she had answered the call. Otherwise, if a young girl like her drank too much outside and something happened, what would she do? Lin Shu had only eaten a few skewers of grilled meat when Tang Wanna downed another bottle of beer. Seeing her pick up yet another bottle and prepare to open it, Lin Shu finally couldn't hold back and stopped her from continuing to twist off the bottle cap. Wanna, have something to eat. Stop drinking for now, sister-in-law, woo-woo. Tang Wanna put down her beer and immediately hugged Lin Shu, crying. Lin Shu gently patted her back and comforted her in a soft voice. From Tang Wanna's fragmented words, she learned one thing. Wanna had feelings for Qin Hao. She was somewhat shocked because when they were all together before, Wanna had never shown any signs. Did Chen know? Qin Hao seemed to treat her the same way he treated Qin Qing, and it appeared he didn't have any romantic feelings either. Wanna's path was bound to be difficult. She really didn't know how to comfort her. When it came to matters of the heart, she was still figuring things out herself, so she just let her cry, thinking that letting it all out would help. She had just managed to calm Tang Wanna down when Tang Chen called. Only then did she remember that she had forgotten to let him know earlier, as she had been in such a hurry. Honey, where did you go? I'm at the door of your studio. Chen, I'm with Wanna. I forgot to tell you. Where are you? At a barbecue restaurant on the food street. Send me the address. I'm heading over now. Okay. Tang Chen didn't ask much on the phone. Lin Shu hung up and immediately sent the location. About half an hour later, Tang Chen arrived at the barbecue restaurant. By this time, Tang Wanna had fallen asleep directly on the table, with Lin Shu keeping watch beside her. Darling, Chen, you're here. Lin Shu couldn't hide her joy upon seeing Tang Chen arrive. What's wrong with Wanna? Why did she drink so much? How did you end up with her? I came over after receiving her call this afternoon. By the time I arrived, she was already quite drunk. Chen, do you know that Wanna likes Qin Hao? Tang Chen was slightly taken aback. Did Wanna get drunk because of this? Lin Shu nodded gently. Just a guess. She never told me herself. Lin Shu thought to herself. Although Chen is Wanna's cousin, given the difference between men and women, the young girl probably felt too embarrassed to talk about such matters. Does Qin Hao know? I'm not very clear about the matters between them either. Probably not, I suppose. Qin Hao has always taken care of Wanna like a little sister since they were young. Then does he like Wanna? It's hard to say. Tang Chen felt that even third brother himself might not be sure about such things. Lin Shu stared at Tang Chen with confusion, not understanding what he meant. If you like someone, you like them. If you don't, you don't. How could it be hard to say? Tang Chen looked at his wife staring at him. Honey, if you keep looking at me like that, I can't promise I'll be able to wait until tonight. Lin Shu froze for a few seconds before she realized what was happening, and then she blushed from her face all the way down to the roots of her ears. This person is always like this. Tang Yichen tightly held Lin Shu's hand. They are adults and will handle it. Have you had dinner yet? We had some grilled skewers. Wana ordered a lot. What would you like to eat? How about I go home and cook some dumplings for you? Lin Shu knew that Tang Yichen didn't really like this kind of food. And there were some dumplings made a couple of days ago stored in the freezer at home. Fine. The two were in the middle of their conversation when Tang Wana, who had been lying on the table, suddenly woke up. She lifted her head and looked at Tang Yichen with a dazed expression. Brother. Tang Wana subconsciously feared her brother, and his sudden appearance before her eyes startled her awake. She immediately forced herself to sit up straight, like a schoolchild waiting to be reprimanded. You still know I'm your brother. Tang Wana silently lowered her head. Lin Shu quickly tugged at his hand, then turned her head and said gently, Wana, come stay with us tonight. We're worried about you being alone. Tang Wana noticed that her elder brother hadn't spoken and felt a bit hesitant. Lin Shu looked at Tang Yichen, and Tang Yichen said, I'll go get the car. Then, supporting Tang Wana, they got into the car together and sat in the back seat, taking care of her. After returning to Xinjiang Garden, Lin Shu arranged for Tang Wana to sleep on Nuo's bed and changed the sheets and bedding for her. Tang Wana went to the bathroom a few times and became much more sober. Standing at the doorway of the room with Lin Shu, she said, Thank you, sister-in-law. What are you thanking me for? I'll go make you some honey water. Drink it and rest early. Don't take a shower tonight. Wait until you wake up tomorrow. Ham. Tang Wana nodded emphatically. Lin Shu brought the honey water to Tang Wana before heading to the kitchen to boil water and cook the dumplings. After finishing his shower, Tang Yichen came out of his room, drying his hair with a towel while looking around for his wife. He walked to the kitchen and saw Lin Shu cooking dumplings. She was still wearing the same clothes as before, a simple, form-fitting dress that accentuated every curve of her body. Her black hair was casually pinned up, revealing her long, snow-white neck. Tang Yichen instantly felt a surge of heat rushing downward. He walked over and hugged her from behind. Honey, you've worked hard. Lin Shu was in the middle of cooking dumplings and was startled by his sudden action. You scared me. How come you walk without making a sound? You must be hungry. We can eat right away. I'd rather eat you. Tang Yichen buried his head in her shoulder, not forgetting to press his lower abdomen forward. His muffled voice came through. Chapter 123. The next day, Lin Shu blushed and pushed away the mischievous someone. You go out first, I'll dish out the dumplings. Who knew the voice that came out would be so charmingly sweet? Instantly, her face flushed all the way to the back of her ears. Tang Yichen stopped teasing her and obediently went out. Sitting at the dining table to wait, Lin Shu brought out the dumplings and also prepared a small dish of vinegar. Honey, have some with me. If you only eat barbecue for dinner, you'll get hungry later. I'll have one. Wana ordered quite a few, but she barely ate any herself. I ended up eating most of them. I'm so full. Tang Yichen picked up the first dumpling, dipped it in a bit of vinegar, and fed it to Lin Shu. Lin Shu smiled and opened her mouth to accept it. Take your time eating. I'm going to take a shower. Okay. After finishing the dumplings, Tang Yichen washed the bowl and went straight back to his room. Lin Shu hadn't returned yet, so he took out his phone and called Qin Hao. Brother, what's up so late? Qin Hao answered the phone quickly. Wana got drunk alone outside today. Tang Yichen said calmly. Wana, is she okay? Qin Hao's tone immediately became anxious upon hearing that Tang Wana was drunk. It's fine. I brought her back. Do you know why she drank so much? I don't know. Boss, Qin Hao really didn't know, or was it because of that person in her heart? Never mind then. It's fine. Get some rest early. Tang Yichen ultimately didn't say anything more. Some matters are not for outsiders to interfere with. She still has to face them herself. After taking a shower, Lin Shu went to Nuo's room and saw that Tang Wana was already asleep. She carefully tucked her in before returning to her own room, walking in just in time to hear Tang Yichen say, if you don't know, then forget it, it's fine. Get some rest early. He was calling Qin Hao, right? This guy says he doesn't care, but deep down, he's still very concerned about Wana. Tang Yichen hung up the phone and leaned against the balcony door of the room, tall and handsome. The room's light cast a faint jade-like glow over his face, making his features appear even more exquisite under the illumination. His deep eyes held a trace of a smile, a faint, elusive smile played at the corners of the lips, seeming both content and blissful, exuding an extraordinary allure. Lin Shu blushed deeply under his unabashed gaze, her heart pounding like thunder. He had woven layers of emotional entanglements around her, trapping her within. Surrounded by his scorching gaze, she had given herself to him, and he, in turn, had confined her. Drawing a circle as a prison from which there was no escape, Tang Chen put down his phone, smiled, and walked over, raising his hand to gently stroke her face. His gaze was so tender it seemed as if it could drip with affection. She avoided his gaze, not daring to look up, afraid of sinking into that kind of gentleness, of drowning in it, sinking deeper and deeper. Tang Chen lifted her chin, forcing her to look directly into his eyes. In his dark pupils, she saw her own reflection, the blushing and shy version of herself. Wife. Tang Chen spoke softly, his voice tinged with layers of desire, making Lin Shu's entire body go weak. Her heart trembled as if tiny electric currents were coursing from her chest, rushing straight to her scalp, sending shivers down her spine. Her face grew increasingly hot, as if it were about to catch fire. "Were you just on the phone with Laro-san?" Lin Shu asked while pushing him. "Yeah, but I didn't say much. Let Wanna handle it herself. Let's not worry about them anymore." Tang Chen tightened his embrace around Lin Shu and lowered his head, drawing closer to her. Lin Shu, captivated by him, forgot to think and slowly closed her eyes. The night was very quiet, with only the sound of each other's heartbeats audible, as if they were about to leap out. At noon, two soft lips met, like a long-awaited rain finally quenching the thirst. Moving downward, a trail of ambiguous marks densely covered the neck, standing out starkly against the fair skin. Lin Shu let out a soft moan, which only further excited someone, prompting them to bend down, pick her up, and carry her toward the bed. After placing her on the bed, he grabbed her hand and wrapped it around his neck, then swiftly captured her lips, skillfully parting them to deepen the kiss. A passionate and lingering embrace. In the early morning, two people were tightly embraced. Lin Shu woke up first and had just moved slightly when the man above her stirred, murmuring drowsily, "Let's sleep a little longer, it's still early." His voice carried the husky, sensual charm of someone who had just woken up. Hearing his voice, Lin Shu was reminded of how it had sounded the night before, equally hoarse and intoxicating in moments of passion. She couldn't help but blush again. "I'll go check if Wanna is awake. Don't worry about her, she's a grown adult and should be able to get up on her own." "Hey, let me get up first. It's Wanna's first time here, and she's not familiar with the place yet." Lin Shu struggled to get up. Someone above her said with restrained patience, "Don't move." Lin Shu felt something stirring awake in the morning and was too frightened to move. Finally, taking advantage of Tang Chen's inattention, she quickly got out of bed and slipped away. From behind came the satisfied laughter of someone. After changing her clothes, Lin Shu came out and was surprised to find that Wanna was already up, sitting in the living room and looking at her phone. "Wanna, you're awake. Are you still feeling unwell?" Lin Shu asked with concern. "It's all right, sister-in-law. Thank you for bringing me back last night. It's good that you're okay. Don't go out drinking alone in the future." Amham. Tang Wanna earnestly agreed, nodding vigorously. "Then I'll go make breakfast," Lin Shu said as she walked toward the kitchen. "I've ordered takeout, sis. No need to cook. I ordered plenty, definitely enough for everyone." Tang Wanna quickly stopped her. Lin Shu turned back and sat down with her in the living room. "Auntie, where are Cheng Cheng and Wonuo? Why aren't they at home?" Tang Wanna felt a bit disappointed not seeing her two precious nephew and niece after getting up. Their school organized a summer camp, and both of them went. They'll be gone for a week and won't be back until next week. That's amazing. They're already able to go out on their own. Both little ones are so impressive. Tang Wanna hadn't expected them to be at a summer camp. She had assumed they were at the old house with their grandfather. As the two chatted, Lin Shu even began to wonder whether the scene of Wanna crying after drinking too much yesterday had actually happened, because today she had already returned to her usual cheerful and lively self. "Sis, I didn't do anything inappropriate last night after drinking too much, did I?" Tang Wanna asked cautiously. "No, I just slept with my head on the table," Lin Shu replied with a smile. Then, did I say anything strange? Not at all. Lin Shu didn't mention the things Wanna had rambled about while drunk the night before. She thought that if Wanna wanted to share or ask for her opinion, she would do so when she was sober, since it was something accidentally revealed while drunk. It was better not to bring it up again. Soon, the takeout arrived, and the two of them set the table together. Lin Shu was about to wake Tang-Chen up for breakfast when he happened to open the door and come out just as she reached his room. "Chen, you're up. Perfect timing for breakfast. Wanna ordered takeout from that restaurant you like." The two of them walked to the dining table, where Tang Wanna quickly served them bowls of kanji. "Big brother, breakfast is ready, As soon as Tang-Chen came out, Tang Wanna stopped chattering and quietly lowered her head to eat breakfast. Lin Shu found the scene quite amusing. In front of her, this person would act spoiled and shamelessly do anything, but when others were around, he would put on a cold face that made everyone too afraid to speak. Chapter 124, Meeting in the Stairwell. The three of them finished breakfast and went out together. Tang-Chen drove, while Lin Shu and Tang Wanna sat in the back. They dropped Lin Shu off at her studio before heading to the company. Tang Wanna remained low-key the entire time, only daring to whisper quietly to Lin Shu. When Lin Shu got out of the car, Tang Wanna almost came up with an excuse to slip away as well. She was certain she had done something foolish last night and even dragged her sister-in-law into it. Being alone with her older brother was nerve-wracking. Earlier in the car, she had secretly messaged her manager to ask for time off. To her surprise, the manager said there was a meeting in the morning, not only denying her request but also telling her to arrive at the company early. She was silently crying inside and really wished her sister-in-law could come to the company with her. Tang-Chen didn't pay any attention to Tang Wanna at all. His eyes were only on his wife. As for giving Tang Wanna a ride to the company, it was purely a matter of convenience. The car pulled into the garage, and as soon as it was parked, Tang Wanna opened the door and was about to slip away. Tang-Chen called out to her, "Wait, what's the rush, bro? The manager said there's a meeting and wants me to arrive early." "I know." Tang-Chen approached and only said one sentence, "Don't go out drinking alone from now on." Tang Wanna thought she would be severely criticized. But to her surprise, her older brother only said this before stepping into the elevator. Holding her bag, she stood silently at the elevator entrance. Feeling deeply moved, over the years, she knew how hard her brother had worked. Fortunately, he now had her sister-in-law and the two little ones, Cheng Cheng and Nuo Nuo. Her sister-in-law truly was her brother's healing presence. "Didn't you say there was a meeting? Why aren't you coming in?" Oh, coming. Tang Wanna only then realized that her older brother was holding the elevator for her while she was still spacing out. She hurriedly strode into the elevator. As soon as Tang Wanna arrived at the company, she was called into the meeting room by the manager and didn't come out until 12 o'clock, so she didn't have time to check her phone. When the meeting ended and she took out her phone, there were several messages and a few missed calls. Qin Qing had also called her and sent a WeChat message. "Wanna, why aren't you answering your phone? My brother actually agreed to my mom's request to go on a blind date. I only found out when I got back tonight." "Wanna, what are you doing? This is serious." Tang Wanna looked at Qin Qing's WeChat message and thought, how serious could it be? She had already seen the two of them eating and shopping together yesterday. She went to the stairwell, a place where people rarely came, making it suitable for a phone call. In the end, she decided to call Qin Qing back. "Wanna, it's not good. My brother went on a blind date yesterday, and when he came back, my mom asked him how it went. He actually said it was pretty good and that they could get to know each other better. What should we do?" Faced with Qin Qing's anxious tone, Tang Wanna remained unusually calm. "Oh, is that so?" Qin Qing finally realized that something was off. Normally, as soon as she heard even a little bit of news about her brother, Wanna would come running excitedly. But now, she had just told her that her brother went on a blind date and seemed to have hit it off this time. So why was she suddenly so calm? Something wasn't right. "Wanna, what's wrong? Are you okay?" Tang Wanna took a deep breath. "I saw them yesterday." "What? Where did you see them? Did my brother see you?" "No, it was at the mall near my company. They were shopping together." Qin Qing was suddenly at a loss for words. She was quite aware of Wanna's feelings for her brother. Despite her usually carefree and outgoing demeanor, she must be feeling very upset right now. "Wanna, it's fine. I'm the popular, charming, and adorable girl that everyone loves. What's the big deal? I'm going to find myself a handsome guy too. Alright, tonight I'll sacrifice a bit and go with you to find some handsome guys. Qin Qing resolutely abandoned her own brother without hesitation, choosing her best friend instead. After all, she had always hoped that Wanna would end up with her brother and become her sister-in-law. The elegant and refined ladies her mother introduced to her brother all had that pretentious, high and mighty attitude. Who knew what had gotten into her brother this time? He actually went on a date with someone, even going out for meals and shopping, and of all the bad luck, Wanna happened to run into them. Now, just wait until Wanna finds herself a handsome guy. Her brother is going to regret it so much. My big brother won't let me go drinking alone. Tang Wanna recalled Tang Ichen's stern warning from the morning and hesitated. Besides, she had drunk too much yesterday and still hadn't fully recovered. Why not? You're not alone. Am I not a person? Tang Wanna thought to herself. You're definitely a person. But if I go drinking again, I might not be treated like one. My big brother would probably send me back to our parents. Alright then, how about we go for barbecue instead and skip the alcohol? Tang Wanna didn't dare mention her overindulgence last night. She hadn't even had a chance to taste the whole table of barbecue, so she could go again today and properly enjoy it. Surely, having barbecue without drinking wouldn't be a problem, and even if her big brother found out, it should be fine. Alright, sister, I'll follow your arrangements today. Have you found a suitable place? Qin Qing was actually worried about Tang Wanna and didn't really intend to drag her out for drinks. Since she refused on her own and suggested going for barbecue instead, that was perfect, the best outcome, as drinking is harmful to health after all. How about the barbecue shop behind our school? That place is really delicious. I used to go there often when I was in school. Ah, just thinking about it makes my mouth water. It's settled then. I'll send you the address later. The more Tang Wanna thought about it, the more excited she became. The more she talked, the more enthusiastic she got, almost wishing she could leave work right now and rush over. Okay, let's meet at the school's back gate later. Alright, see you at the back gate of the school. Tang Wanna boldly arranged the evening's plans with Qin Qing, then hung up her phone and turned around, only to be so startled that she dropped her phone on the ground. She quickly picked up her beloved phone to check it. Sigh. Thankfully only the tempered glass screen protector was broken, otherwise she would have had to replace the entire screen again. Wouldn't that mean both love and wallet taking a hit? She slipped the phone into her pocket and pretended nothing had happened, greeting the person leaning against the wall who was watching her expressionlessly. Hey, third brother. Qin Hao had been standing there for a while. Ever since she started making the phone call, he had originally intended to hide in the stairwell for a smoke but unexpectedly saw that young girl there too, seemingly on the phone with Qing Qing. His hand, which had been reaching for a cigarette, suddenly froze. He should have left long ago. Yet he had inexplicably stood behind her, listening to her phone call. She was going to have barbecue in the evening, and the mere mention of food made her so excited that she was practically dancing around. Like a child who never grew up, he hadn't expected her to turn around suddenly, and he didn't have time to avoid her. They ended up bumping right into each other. It took a while before Tang Wanna heard the man's reply. She had almost opened the door to leave. This person was so strange. Standing silently behind someone without a word, who knew when he had arrived or how much he had overheard. She was about to say she would go first when Qin Hao's phone rang. Hello, from this distance. She could clearly hear a gentle female voice on the other end. I'm downstairs at your company. Would you like to have lunch together? Third young master Qin. Tang Wanna didn't wait to hear his response and mouthed the words, I'll go first, third brother. Then she opened the door and left. Qin Hao watched the young girl's retreating figure, lost in thought, until the voice on the phone spoke up again. Are you listening, Want to grab a meal? Sure. Chapter 125. Why do we meet everywhere? Tang Wanna returned to the office area, and Ding Chen, a young woman from the department who was working on the project together, was still at her workstation. Seeing Tang Wanna come out, she invited her to go for a meal together. Wanna, come on, let's have lunch together. Last week when you were on a business trip, I found a newly opened restaurant. Their pickled fish is absolutely amazing. Come on, I've decided to treat you today and take you to try it. Great. It's been a long time since I've had delicious pickled fish. The last time was when my sister-in-law made it. Woo-woo, Tang Wanna said, feeling the urge to go to her brother's house for a meal. But as soon as she thought of her brother's cold expression, she backed off and decided to forget it. What you eat isn't important. Staying alive is what matters. The two of them walked hand in hand, taking the elevator downstairs. Since the shop was quite close, they simply walked over. As soon as they entered the shop and found a seat, Tang Wanna noticed Ding Chen, sitting across from her, winking and making faces at her. "What's wrong? Are your eyes bothering you?" Tang Wanna teased with a smile. "Oh, look over there, in that corner, isn't that our President Qin?" Upon hearing this, Tang Wanna froze for a moment, then slightly raised her head and saw Qin Hao sitting 2 tables away, having a meal with a woman, the one who went shopping with him yesterday. The blind date candidate that Qing mentioned as her brother's match, the girl who just called him in the stairwell to ask him out for a meal. So it really is just as Qing said, the two of them get along well, and he also thinks she's a good match. Tang Wanna glanced sideways and then didn't look over there again. Lowering her head to look at the menu, Ding Chen across from her was still chattering away. After all, who would have thought that having lunch at noon would lead to stumbling upon some gossip about their boss? Yeah, who would have thought that having lunch at noon would lead to running into them? If I had known, I wouldn't have ordered the pickled fish today. Clearly, before, he said he didn't like it. Turns out all those principles were just empty words. It's just that he hadn't met the person he wanted to share a meal with. Wanna. This is the first time I've seen President Qin having a meal with a woman. Is that his girlfriend across from him? They actually look quite well matched. Yeah, they do look well matched, Tang Wanna agreed, staring at the colorful dishes on the menu, but suddenly, she had lost her appetite. TSK. This is the first time I've felt so close to a big shot. So even big shots like to eat pickled fish. He doesn't like to eat, Tang Wanna blurted out. How did you know? Ding Chen across from her looked at Tang Wanna with a gossipy expression, smiling in a way that made her a bit flustered. I guessed. Tang Wanna made up an excuse on the spot. If he doesn't like it, why would he come here? Ding Chen still believed that the big shot, like them, enjoyed eating pickled fish. After all, sharing a common interest would bring them one step closer to the big shot. Maybe someone else likes it. Tang Wanna buried her head and stared at the menu, muttering quietly. What? Nothing. Hurry up and order. We won't have enough time to eat later. Didn't you say you've been here before? Come on, order. Tang Wanna pushed the menu over. Alright, let me do it. You're definitely going to love it. Ding Chen took the menu, checked off a few items, and finished ordering in no time. There weren't many people eating at noon, so the food was served quite quickly. Ding Chen ordered a signature sauerkraut fish, crispy fried pork, cheese balls, boneless chicken feet, and a dessert, ordering so much. The two of us won't be able to finish it. Not too much. It's rare for me to treat you, after all. I usually just tag along for free meals, so now it's my turn to repay the favor. Ha. Tang Wanna curled her lips into a smile and said, alright then, next time, big sister will take you out for a feast. After the food was served, the two of them focused on eating seriously and didn't pay any more attention to Qin Hao's movements, so they didn't even notice when he left. Perhaps the pickled fish was just too delicious, so it wasn't that she deliberately avoided paying attention to him. She was simply engrossed in her meal. Ding Chen went to the restroom, and Tang Wanna stepped out of the restaurant first to wait for her. Looking up across the street, she unexpectedly saw the two of them again. Qin Hao's car was parked by the roadside, and he was opening the car door for the girl. The girl looked at him shyly before getting into the car. Qin Hao also got in, and the two drove off together. Someone tapped her on the shoulder from behind. What luck today. It feels like we keep running into President Qin no matter where we look. Looks like he's finished his meal and is taking his girlfriend home. Ding Chen was quite casual. She also saw the two of them drive away. Yeah. It seems like we never have such good luck at the company. Exactly, usually we run into each other once a week, but today we've met twice just by having a meal. Tang Wanna didn't say anything more. Let's go, we'll be late if we don't hurry. Let's go. The two of them walked side by side toward the company. The two of them made it back just in time for the afternoon work shift. Tang Wanna worked very diligently the entire afternoon and only realized it was almost time to leave when she received Qing's WeChat message. Time always flies when you're busy. Wanna, leave work on time. I'll head over first and meet you at the back gate of the school. Okay, just before getting off work. Tang Wanna had already packed her bag 5 minutes early. As soon as the clock struck 5:30, she immediately shut down her computer, picked up her bag, and was ready to leave. The project manager happened to walk by and, seeing that she had already turned off her computer and was carrying her bag, teased, "In such a hurry, are you going on a date?" Tang Wanna originally wanted to retort, but as soon as she turned around, she saw Qin Hao standing behind the project manager. The words on the tip of her tongue were swallowed back. She had no idea what kind of luck she had today. She had run into him so many times without even realizing it. It seemed she hadn't checked the almanac before leaving home this morning. She smiled and said, "Yes, manager, so I'll be going now, otherwise, I might be late." Then she dashed toward the elevator. Qin Hao watched her retreating figure. She had clearly seen him, yet she hadn't said a single word to him. Hearing her say she was going on a date earlier, he couldn't help but let his expression darken. By the time Tang Wanna arrived at the back gate of the school, Qin Qing was already there. Holding 2 takeaway milk teas in her hands, waiting. "You're so early today, don't you need to go to the set?" Tang Wanna approached and patted Qin Qing's shoulder from behind. "You scared me." Qin Qing turned around and patted her chest. "You still haven't said why you're so early today." Playing hooky, 2 people, each holding a cup of milk tea, walked playfully toward the barbecue restaurant. The barbecue restaurant operates in the evening, and it had just opened when the 2 arrived. Tang Wanna had been coming to this restaurant since her school days and still visited occasionally after graduation. The owner knew her quite well. The 2 sat down for a while and ordered their food. As night fell, many students gradually filled the shop, looking at these vibrant young faces. Both of them felt as if they had returned to their student days. The 2 happily ate skewers and chatted. Unexpectedly, a junior came over to ask for WeChat. "Hello, can I add you on WeChat?" Tang Wanna looked at the bright, smiling boy standing in front of her. He was probably her junior from elementary school, holding a skewer of grilled meat in her hand. She was slightly taken aback. Are juniors these days really this bold? Thank you for watching. This is a full-length novel. If you'd like to see more, please leave a comment below saying looking forward to the next part, or give this video a like. I'll update based on your feedback. See you next time.